This is so funny. All right, we got the watch along ready to go. Jack McMullen, Clay Snowden, Ethan Budowsky. We're just going to sit here and watch ball. I think the feature game that we all decided we're going to go with is Braves Twins, which is Bryce Elder and Joe Ryan. But we're just going to kind of bounce around the big league slate and chat and talk life, talk the current political state of affairs in this country. And I don't know, maybe hit on some Gavin Williams too. Does that sound good?
Yeah,
I'm locked in.
So I brought the glove tonight just in case of foul ball, but I also just wanted to provide the people with the sound of the ball hitting the mitt. Such a beautiful sound.
Can we get some ASMR going with Clay later tonight? Some baseball ASMR.
Yeah, we're gonna do a live walkthrough.
Can you demonstrate the curveball again? Who was it? Kershaw's curveball.
Wait up.
So here's the thing: if I hold a baseball while we record the Just Baseball show, if we're talking pitches, I'll do the changeup thing. And I'm a huge fan of just pronating with no baseball. I'm like, yeah, changeup, right? But then you also have curveball going on. So
you're the guy that stands around and practices his golf swing while waiting for dinner, because I'm that guy too. That's me.
I don't golf. That's the thing. So it's not a golf swing.
That's your first mistake.
You know what it is though? It's getting this initial separation. That's what I practice all the time.
I do the Johnny Cueto twist and shimmy a little bit sometimes. So I'll do that in the newsroom. I'll just be standing in the newsroom, somebody will be checking my script, and I'll just be standing there twisting, shimmying, almost knocking my phone off the counter. You know, that whole thing.
So should we do introductions just quick off the top? Who are you?
Yeah, I guess so. I've never been on I don't think I've been on the JB show, so maybe we might need to do that for some folks.
Damn. All right. There we go. Well, I'm Jack. I host the Just Baseball show. I'm one of the hosts of the Just Baseball show. Let's see, do some writing there. And I don't know, you probably see me on this Twitter, or you probably see me on this YouTube. But Ethan, introduce yourself, and then Clay, introduce yourself as well.
I'm Ethan. I'm the social media manager at Just Baseball. I'm also a news reporter for WCJB in Gainesville. I'm a writer for Just Baseball. Been doing it for, it'll be 2 years come October that I've been with you guys, and I've loved every second of it. I like the Marlins. I'm from South Florida. I like the Giants. I like the Cubs. It's a whole weird thing. I don't need to explain all of it. Maybe we have enough time tonight for me too, but Clay and I used to do a podcast together. We're good buddies, and Jack and I just are I don't know how we haven't met before, because we're just destined for each other. But
we're two peas in a pod, baby.
2 peas in a pod. But no, I'm just, when I came up with this idea, I just thought it would be perfect. The three of us just shooting the shit. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, so I'm Clay Snowden. I do a bunch of different things at Just Baseball, writing, fantasy podcast. Typically, we'll write about the Reds and other shitty teams across the league, and the Tigers are another team I'm covering. I've spent time covering the A's, and Ethan and I were the two hosts of the now debunked what was it called?
State of the Division, man.
State of the Division podcast.
We were the NL Central. We were the NL Central pod.
I think that we have more people watching right now, even if it's 2, than we've had at the State of the Division. So we're already doing better than that. Jack did not mention that he has the Show and Go podcast.
Yeah, with Taylor Davis. We do in the off season we were doing twice a week. So far we've been ripping around. I don't know, we shoot for once a week, but it's tough because Taylor hung up the cleats this offseason. And it was a really weird offseason. And he talked about it, but he's now a coach in the Pirates system. He's with the GCL team, the GCL affiliate.
Oh, okay.
So he's seeing some really interesting dudes, and he's seeing all these GCL guys. He said they played the Braves GCL affiliate has Brian Acuna and another Chorio. There was an Acuna and a Chorio, and he was like, "Yeah, they're solid." So it was all good. So yeah, really interesting with Taylor Davis. But yeah, Clay. So I don't know, while we wait for some of these games to start, and I do want to highlight
Rich Hill's throwing his warm-up pitches as we speak.
Rich Hill's throwing his warm-up tosses right now. Okay, so we've got Pirates Padres starting here. Darvish was a late scratch, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Darvish was a late scratch. So who's starting for them? It's going to be Reese Nair. We've also got Reds Orioles starting on time.
Yeah. Tyler Wells is warming up as we speak. A really underrated pitcher in the league.
Well, you got Tyler Wells and Abbott, which is like actually a very sneaky, awesome game. So you've got Tyler Wells and Abbott. You've got Kevin Gausman facing the Giants in Toronto, which is going to be really interesting. And Ethan, I know that's one that you want to get into. You've got Luis Arraez, getting over 400 in his first pitch against Garrett Whitlock in a matter of moments. Hasn't happened yet, but I know it will. And then you've got Brewers, Mets in Queens. Our highlighted game right now is Bryce Elder and Joe Ryan in Atlanta. It's Braves Twins. And then we'll be with you for Framber Valdez and Jordan Montgomery for Astros Cardinals at 7:45. And then Clay's favorite, Matt Manning against Martin Perez at 8:05, which is big time. Before we get any farther, Clay was our A's beat writer off the top of the year. And now he's no longer the A's beat writer. Clay's kind of a softie. Because
I'm a sellout.
You are a sellout.
I will say this. No matter what you say, you being whoever 3 people listen to this.
We've got 8 in the stream right now, man.
If your team leaves the city, you will no longer be a fan. After seeing what happened with those fans and seeing it just rip from them, and they're like, how am I going to tell my 7-year-old that, like, yeah, we don't go to games anymore. We go every Sunday. Now we don't. Like, how do I explain that to him? It is really sad. So, but I actually had a question for Jack. Henry Davis is starting in right field tonight for the Pirates. Now, as many know, you are the AAA voice of the Indianapolis Indians to some extent. I don't know if you're 2 or what the official title is there.
So Howard Kellman, King Kellman, is the voice of the Indianapolis Indians. Okay. He's been there for 47 years.
Wow. So you're the echo.
Wow. Yes, I am. I'm the guy that's talking when he takes a break. I'm a play-by-play broadcaster. I guess that's the title.
Yeah.
But
so your Twitter bio is like every other play-by-play broadcaster, which is like the microphone emoji and like PXP at the team.
I'm not at Jack McMullen PXP. Oh, chirp, chirp, Ethan Monday. Chirp, chirp.
So now that some games are getting in, TJ Friedel's leading off. And this is a player who's batting over 300, yet he does not hit the ball hard at all. And I think he's a good player who just outperforms the typical, and I know how Jack feels about expected batting average and expected stats, but he outperforms all of those. But I think he's a good player. I want to hear what you all have to say about TJ Friedel. Is he like a useful guy, or is he just kind of getting lucky, or what's the deal?
My initial observation right now is that his batting stance looks like a generic batting stance from MVP Baseball 2005. He's really wide open. He just looks it's kind of a throwback look, and Arraez kind of has that same look. We'll obviously get to him later when the Marlins get started, but he does have that very throwback look that screams, I'm going to put the ball in play. I'm not necessarily going to hit it very hard, but it's going to land, and I'm going to hit over 300 at the top of the lineup, which, I don't think the Reds can complain about that at all.
No, I am a Friedel guy. I guess I'm turning a corner because I didn't firmly plant my flag in the anti-Friedel, but you look at the 2025 Cincinnati Reds, and I was like, I don't think TJ Friedel's in that lineup. I still am not fully convinced that TJ Friedel is in that lineup, but rebuilding teams, and the Reds are obviously way more than a rebuilding team, they need time buyers. And when TJ Friedel first broke into the lineup, Friedel looked like a solid time buyer, much like
Lane Thomas.
Yeah, Lane Thomas is a good time buyer. Alex Call is a pretty decent time buyer. Meneses is like the best time buyer / trade chip. Ethan, I know you'll remember this, but 2 years ago, Rafael Ortega was an excellent time buyer for the Cardinals Center.
Yeah,
because that guy figured it out. He was a guy that should get 5-6 years of big league service.
Yeah, and he puts up a 110 WRC plus. No one talks about him. He's kind of a fourth outfielder on some teams, and then he floats around. And they're like the perfect type of player that you think, hey, they're pretty good. And then 2 years from now, they're playing in AAA and it doesn't make sense. It's like Tyler Naquin. It's like, oh, he's in the Brewers AAA. What the hell happened to that guy?
Yeah. Tyler Naquin is in a system still? I didn't even know.
He is. Yes, but
Jack,
I was
I
a
realized
trade chip last year.
And the Reds got a great return, by the way, from the Mets. But, Jack, I realized I didn't actually get a chance to ask the question about Henry Davis as we got sidetracked. What do you think about him in right field, and what have you seen from him? And just kind of talk about how you think that could play out.
Yeah, no, I think he can be a really good right fielder. And I think that, Derek Shelton's initial comments, the manager of the Pirates, his initial comments made it seem like he was up there to play the outfield and not catch. They still have Austin Hedges on that roster. They still have Jason DeLay on that roster. So Davis is not going to catch. I think moving forward, if I had to pick one, having watched both of them coexist and having watched Endy for the entire year, I think Endy is probably the one that makes more sense as the catcher long term. That doesn't mean that Henry Davis can't be some version of what Dalton Varsho was in Arizona. Yeah. Like, now that Varsho's in Toronto, he's not going to catch. It's just not happening. Because you have Kirk, because you have Danny Jansen. They traded for him to be a Gold Glove caliber corner outfielder or a really good defensive center fielder. With Davis, I think that he may be more of that true, I can play the outfield, I can catch, I'll do both. But I think if I was filling out the lineup card for the Pirates next year and I didn't have an off day for a given week, I've got Endy catching 4 games, Davis catching 3, or Endy catching 5, Davis catching 2. Mm-hmm.
It's funny how many players, Ethan, have gone from. So the first name that came to mind when I think catcher / any other position, which is so rare in the past, Josh Willingham. I don't know if you all remember Josh Willingham.
I'm a Marlin guy.
Yeah.
How did I not remember?
Yeah, of
Josh
course.
Willingham?
He was one that played both. Mm-hmm. Kyle Schwarber was one.
That's the one I thought of. Yeah.
That seems like one that's coming, or a position like change. Do you think it's just like there's more athletic catchers and then they don't get the framing, the pitch calling, or the, all the other intricacies to catching don't quite click, but yet they're freak athletes. Dylan Dingler is a guy who could potentially move off catcher as well.
The Cubs that tried Wilson Contreras in right, left, a bunch when he was here, like especially when Joe Madden was here, he was moved around all the time, and it kind of had mixed results. But yeah, I do think it's just a sign of the evolving of the athlete in baseball, right? And just there are athletes everywhere at all positions now, guys that can do everything. And kind of when you guys were talking about Henry Davis, I'm kind of just thinking like, the Pirates obviously started really hot this year and they've been struggling mightily of late. And it just seems like they just kind of needed a spark. And they've brought up a couple of young guys, Nick Gonzalez recently. And this just seems like an opportunity of maybe he's not ready to catch at the big league level yet because there's still so much that goes into it. So we're going to stick him at right field and we think he can be serviceable here. And at least we have his bat and the excitement of having our former number 1 pick in the lineup. And I just think that seems like it's a good move. And yeah, I do think that we're going to start seeing that more, that guys are going to come up as catchers. One guy that I think of as a Gator fan right now, and he's not going to end up playing pro ball. He says, we'll see if he actually does this, but BT Riopel, I'm not sure he's actually a catcher at the next level, but
the finance guy.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a finance bro. That's what everybody keeps telling me, but we'll see if somebody comes with a big offer for him, if they can sway him away. But that was Soler. I thought it was Arias getting a base hit. Just like I said.
Soler got a finger off the gut.
Jack, Andrew Abbott's on the mound. A pitcher who's looked really good through his first few starts. Have you seen him live?
Why are you moving off of Henry Davis? And a quick side note, why are we moving off of Ethan's? Is that a clatter ring that I saw on your right ring finger? What do you got on your right ring finger?
It's a graduation present from my mom.
Oh, okay. It's just like I thought maybe it was a clatter ring.
Nice ring. I won't say where it's from. Yes. I'll text you personally where it's from. I don't need to broadcast it out there.
Thanks, man.
7-Eleven?
No, not quite.
Hey, the wedding ring off. I said, hey, I'm hanging with the boys. I'm taking the wedding ring off.
Yeah, just see ya. I'm married to the game tonight. No, real quick on Davis. Guy has a hose. I think his situation is best comp to Schwarber's because Schwarber, he was like actually catching. Brian De La Cruz nuke job.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I didn't want to interrupt you though.
No, how about Brian?
And
De La
that's a
Cruz?
guy who's kind of cooled down after that huge start that he had.
He's
The
had
past-
Clay. He's done that like 4 times where
Yeah.
he started really hot, he cooled off, got really hot again, cooled off, kind of had a nice. He's just like good. Like he's just if he ends up this year hitting 260, 270 with an OPS above 750, like you need those guys on your team. The Marlins haven't had a ton of guys like that on their team the past 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and I just think that he's become a productive ball player, and it's now what is it, late June, almost July, and he's still being productive. The big worry for him was he had a really good September when he first came up. Last year he had a really good April, then stunk. Are you ahead of me? Or are you watching another game? What do we got going?
I'm watching a Jazz double.
Yeah, all right. You're
Center.
ahead of me. So
You're ahead of me
spoiler
too.
alert.
I'm on the iPad.
Oh,
Welcome.
I'm on Cox Cable, and I don't know if we're gonna do any deals with Cox Cable anytime soon. So I'm gonna reserve what I say. But oh man, that almost left. That's a good start. Welcome back for Jazz. But
Welcome back, Jazz Chisholm.
yeah, just to finish up on De La Cruz, like
Yeah.
it's July now, and his numbers still look pretty good. And you just kind of at this point have to just say he's just a solid baseball player. I mean, there's, at this point, it's not just a fluky September or a fluky April. Like he's produced all year, and he's been a big part of the lineup improving this year. There's no doubt about that.
All right, so 2-0 Marlins over the Red Sox. Jazz just doubled.
I'm on
You've
it
got
right now.
You've got no score, but runners at first and second, 1 out for Milwaukee hitting in Queens. Through 1, no score between the Padres and the Pirates. Bottom 1, no score between the Giants and the Blue Jays. And then bottom 1, no score between the Reds and the Orioles. That's Tyler Wells and Andrew Abbott. I remembered Clay had an Andrew Abbott thought. But I think Henry Davis's situation is best comp to Schwarber because Schwarber was like a legit catching option for the Cubs before he tore his ACL. And he came back and it was like, okay, what does this look like? The other conversation that I think about, and Davis is not, how about Jazz, man?
Jazz, dude.
Wait till you see this.
Game 1, back from injury. Jazz double, scores, sliding headfirst into home, just electric factory.
How about Jazz,
love it,
man?
man.
But just finishing the Henry Davis thought so we can move off the Henry Davis thing. I go back to the Joe Mauer conversation in the twilight years of his career. It's like, hey, when's he going to get out from behind the plate? And I think that, yes, this is like a career preserver, but like if you're an excellent catcher, you should catch for your entire career. And I think that Endy is an excellent catcher. I think Davis can be an excellent catcher. He's got a hose, maybe the best arm I've ever seen on a catcher in the minor leagues. But really good arms play in right field too. So I think this guy, if he does lean into the corner outfield thing, he can actually be a really, really good defensive outfielder. But Clay, Abbott question.
The Abbott question. So I did not know if you had seen him live at any point, but I just love what I've seen from him, not only this year, but at the second part of last season as well. I think since he's been called up, he's been nibbling a little bit more than usual. I want him to kind of attack the zone more, but he's still making competitive pitches. He just got Santander to fly out. That would have been a home run to left field a couple of years ago in Baltimore. But I just did not know if you had any thoughts, Jack, on Andrew Abbott.
I have not gotten the opportunity to watch Abbott live because he was in Louisville for 5 starts?
Yeah.
I wasn't there for any of his 5 starts. He did not face Indianapolis. But what I will say is, like, I love Abbott as an arm because he is like, he's the college arm that you fall in love with. He's the pitchability guy and the stuff ticks up. So I'm all the way in on Abbott. And I think if I had to like hand pick the Reds rotation of the future, Abbott's in it. I think Williamson isn't, which is kind of a crazy thing to say if we went back 365 days.
Clay, I wanted to ask you about this, man. We might as well just get right in on the Reds because they're what everybody wants to talk about right now. But
Rory
Yes,
in the
I do.
comments says the red shirt with the fly the W flag is really throwing me off. Rory, one thing that you have to know about a lot of us here is, I mean,
We
I got
just
the
like
Colorado
baseball.
Rockies hat on. I have I probably have 20 different team hats. We just appreciate baseball. Ethan, though, explain to us, being a Cubs fan, why you're rocking the red shirt.
All right, so I'm like Clay, where I just like baseball merch. Clay and I we both collect the 47 dad hats, and we're trying to get to every team. By the way, Clay, I meant to text you recently. I counted, I'm like 6 shy. I've got only a few more. I'm really close. But I was at a vintage market in Gainesville, and I saw this shirt, and I just loved it. It's a World
Stand
Series
up. What are you doing? Stand up.
1990
Get active, man.
Cincinnati Reds.
Well, pull your pants up before you stand up.
1990 World Series champion, Cincinnati Reds. I know, and I immediately texted it to Clay. I was like, dude, I gotta cop this. It's only like $25. I was like, screw it. So yeah, I'm a Cubs guy, Giants, Marlins as well, like I mentioned earlier, but I just like any and all baseball merch. So but Clay, speaking of the Reds, I wanted to ask you, because I texted you a few weeks ago when the Reds first started becoming America's team, right? And I said, can this happen? Can they stay in it? Is it? And you were like, no, they don't have enough pitching. Do you think that's changed with some of the way with the way some guys have pitched and just Ellie De La Cruz's arrival, or do you think? Yes, I am a Florida fan and a Gator and a Heat fan and a Panther fan. It's been not just a past 48 hours. It's been a past 3 weeks. But Clay, do you think that now the Reds have
a lot
enough?
has changed, and what's changed is the pitching's gotten injured, and the pitching that has been good is getting back towards career norms. They have brought up and DFA'd 3 days in a row 3 different players now. They're running out of arms. They just called up Alec Mills, used to play with the Cubs. They had Jake Wong up for 1 day, DFA'd after. Before that, Randy Wynn up 1 day, DFA'd after. It's just Ben Lively, who was out of nowhere in the starting rotation pitching well, injured. I'm worried about the Reds starting pitching as much as anybody out there. You don't have to be a baseball expert to look at the roster and say, who are a lot of these guys? The team I'm kind of keeping my eyes on is the Cubs, because they're 3 games back and they've already shown what, I don't want to sound like aggressive or anything, but like they've shown what the Reds haven't yet. And that's that they're willing to spend by signing Dansby Swanson, by signing Marcus Stroman 2 years ago. They've shown that they are aggressive. I could see them being kind of sneaky at the deadline. So that's one team to keep an eye on. But wanted to talk about some of these games. And you know what I noticed? There's so many AL playing NL teams right now. And I love that change in the schedule.
It's the best.
Where all teams are going to be playing each other. I think it's awesome that we're sitting here watching Miami, Boston. We're watching Atlanta versus Minnesota, Baltimore versus the Reds. The last time the Reds were in Baltimore was 2014.
Wow.
2014. It's ridiculous. These type of things, I'm glad that's going to be happening more. And I think it's a good way to kind of get fans to learn other players as well. A lot of Reds fans probably don't know the Baltimore players if you're just a casual fan. So you get to see Adley Rutschmidt.
Did we lose Clay?
Jordan Westburg and the whole
we got
there. So I love it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great change, Clay, too. And it's not just the guys, the young and up-and-coming guys. It's Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, right? Like the Marlins haven't gotten – Shohei's never been in Miami except for the World Baseball Classic. Trout hasn't been here since 2017, I think. It's just a good way to just grow the game and get it out there, make sure that, guys are on all the coasts. And it is just cool to see some of the different matchups that it creates, like the Blue Jays and the Giants here, Kevin Gausman getting to pitch against his old team. Like that would only happen every 4 years or whatever. I think a lot of the changes that have been made to baseball and, have been great. They've paid off. I saw attendance is up like 8% or something. Yeah. It's not surprising. I think the game has been more exciting. I think this, one of the great changes I think has been the stolen bases, the bags being bigger. I love that the stolen base has kind of made a resurgence. I know that we've kind of eliminated stealing as a really effective option the last few years with Moneyball and everything. But I really do think that a lot of the changes have been great this year. And I don't know, baseball has never been more exciting, man. I really think that.
I think that that's an important note, because while like the game, the exact fundamentals of the game are, I don't know, maybe a little bit more boring, I'd say the overall like ability of the guys that are actually on the field has never been better, and it's nowhere close. Like, hey, you're not seeing, now we've become obsessed with pitch metrics, pitch data, all that stuff. And while that has resulted in like a less palatable game for the old guard, and I'm with that to a certain extent, like, dude, I totally love this. I love the 20 strikeout games. I love them. But I understand why it's a turnoff for some people. Nobody could throw like this 10 years ago. Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago they could. But like, dude, Clemens, Randy Johnson, Pedro, like they were all outliers.
Yeah.
Now you've got fucking Brian Abreu. Sorry, forgot we can't curse on Just Baseball. You guys said shit earlier in this stream, and I want to reprimand you guys for that after.
You just said it, though.
God damn it. I just crossed off 3. No, but like, I think while the game itself has maybe become more stop and go, I think the overall like explosive nature of the athletes that play this game is like so far beyond what we've ever seen from baseball.
There's no better example right now of that than Ellie De La Cruz. I mean, we've never seen an athlete like that in baseball before. Never. The Levitard show, and they barely ever talk about baseball outside of the Marlins on the local hour, was talking about Ellie De La Cruz and just comparing him to, you know, I think it was Peter that did that TikTok. That was a great TikTok of comparing him to, you know, guys in other sports. And we were having the discussion in the JB chat, and just the reality that you can compare him to, you know, athletes like Giannis Antetokounmpo or Saquon Barkley, and he's playing baseball. You know, like one of the guys on the Levitard show was saying, what is that guy doing playing baseball? He should be lining up, you know, out wide for the Steelers, you know, catching, you know, 100 passes, 1,700 yards, and 20 touchdowns or something. Like, he is such a freakazoid of an athlete. I was listening to the show you did with Bueller, and you were talking about, you were talking with Aram about him, watching him run. I've never seen a guy run the bases that way. It was
who
unbelievable.
The hell's supposed to get excited about somebody else running the bases?
I will say I love good base running, but I mean, I love some good base running. Like, I love Florida this year, watching Wyatt Langford. Like, Wyatt Langford can run the fucking bases. Can run the bases. Man.
Okay. Hey. Okay. So now we're settling into these games. First, second, third inning. Looking around, Padres already up 3-0 to Pittsburgh. To me, like, Pittsburgh's starting to kind of show what we thought they were. Beginning of the year, they got off hot. It looked cool. Everyone is fired up. Ryan Miller, who supposedly works for JustBaseball.com, was all excited about it. He's one of the interns at Just Baseball. If you all don't know Ryan Miller, check him out. I think he's written, but I just don't see the Pirates, man, like, coming back. And now you have the other side is the Padres, right? And the Padres have been pretty disappointing, and it's not just this season. Jack, what the hell are you going to do if you're the Padres and you fall flat on your face again, and you have all of these contracts in a farm system that has been depleted over the past couple of years? Where do you go? Do you just keep throwing out the same product? Do you throw more money at it?
Yeah, I think you trade Merrill and Snelling for Shane Bieber and you give it hell. No, I mean, like, AJ Preller, I don't want to say pisses me off, but like the way AJ Preller goes about it is like in a frustrating way to me, because I think that there needs to be a level of, I don't know, like somewhat considering risk reward, and he doesn't really consider
reckless.
much risk. Like I've long called him the J.R. Smith of baseball execs, because he just shoots. He'll put up 30 shots a game. He'll go 4 for 30, but like,
he's going to go back to school. Like J.R.
Maybe, yeah, he's going to play golf. Now, I mean, nice catch, George Springer.
Yeah, oh
How
my
about
God.
that?
Wow.
Damn,
Still
man.
a good player.
He's
George Springer is
really good. The Blue Jays, man, they're talented.
Hey, Jack, I tagged you in a tweet. Is there any way that you could pull it up for the people on the live stream?
This is great. I just saw this, Clay. This is wonderful content.
You tagged me in a tweet.
Yeah, and it has volume. It would need volume as well.
No way.
Can you put it on the screen for us?
I'm trying to.
So
I'll flip the iPad around and show you.
make sure to turn up the volume.
Is this our guy Smith that just did this?
So a little backstory to that.
Are you tunneling a sinker there? Like, what is that?
So I texted Smith the other night. Smith does edits and whatnot, and it's affiliated with Just Baseball. And I just randomly sent him a DM the other night. Just said Smith. He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Can you do me a favor?" His response was hilarious. Always, hopefully. So I said, "Hey man, I'm gonna send you these 2 videos I've screen recorded of Jack. Can you do that thing where you throw like a little baby behind it and like change the color or something?"
Acuna just took Joe Ryan yard. Is that first pitch of Joe Ryan's day?
On the day that they're giving out free Acuna chains with
I
the
saw
13 to the first
That's
however
pretty
many
sick.
guessed.
Oh, and he's saying he's got ice in his veins. All right, this dude, I know he's pretty unlikable, especially for Marlins fans, but he's so cold, dude.
He should be so likable, man. But there's just like there's an aspect like I love a lot of the
Time out.
stuff.
Just to clarify, you don't like him?
No, I'm not a fan. No, I find him very unlikable. I like
not the only one.
I like the ice in my veins when you hit a leadoff homer or something. I don't mind, like that's great. But it's the gritting across the plate when you're down 8-5. It's the pimping a home run when you're down 5-4. Like, I'm not gonna be the boomer. Like I know I sound like a boomer here. I'm not. I'm the exact opposite. I love pimp jobs, showing off. I love
Just say
all
your
that
bias
stuff.
and we can move on.
I love all that stuff. It's also the whole like the him and Sandy going back and forth with you got to pitch him inside, and when he crowds the plate and you pitch him inside, he's going to get hit every once in a while, and he always makes a big show out of it. It's just he should be so likable, and he's such an amazing talent, and he's just not likable to me, at least. I get the appeal, and I know that I'm definitely biased because I have Marlins in my blood, and I really can't stand the Atlanta Braves. But but there are guys I like on the Braves. Like I like Albies, and Austin Riley's an awesome baseball player. It's just
Are you a Matt Olson guy?
Matt Olson hits some. I tweeted this the other night on the homer he hit the other night. Some of his homers are just like the most beautiful home runs you've ever seen in your life. Like the one he hit, I don't know if it was Saturday night or what, but was just like an absolute tank moonshot to like the back end of the second deck in Atlanta. Like his swing is beautiful, and I'm not sure you can go back and forth on the Freddie Olson thing. I know that a lot of Braves fans will stand up and stand up for Matt Olson, but you can't argue that it hasn't worked out. I mean, he's been such a great addition for
right now.
He's so good, but
right now we have Jordan Westberg just got a single off of Andrew Abbott. Great at bat from Jordan Westberg. Man, that kid's good.
Westberg is awesome. Westberg is awesome.
The Orioles just keep reloading, man. It's insane. Like right now, they're just bringing up all their talent at once, and they have so much of it. And it's just, as a Marlins fan, where the Orioles rebuilt around the same time as the Marlins, like they tore it all down right around the same time. It's just like, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. It's all young talent that is exciting and plays the game well. And the Marlins are getting it done this year, but it's
Austin Riley 2-run home run.
Riley 2-run shot.
Hey, there he is,
Albies
man.
had a double. Right? No, did Albies triple?
He had a double. Or it may have been a triple. I saw the highlight. Jack, he's rounding first and does this number. and like flicks the helmet off. It was so strangely. No, he didn't even touch it. He just kind of like flicked his head. It was really bizarre.
Albies tripled. So first 3 hitters of the game against Joe Ryan. After
the
a
Baltimore
complete
Orioles
game
just
shutting
scored as well.
Sack fly from McKenna. After a complete game shutout from Joe Ryan. Ooh, how about the So Rare plug? That's huge. How about the sponsors, bro? Wow, huge. So Rare plug. I saw a Sandy So Rare plug too. But Joe Ryan, after a complete game shutout of the Boston Red Sox last week, has gone homer on the first pitch to Acuna, then a triple to Ozzie Albies, then a homer to Austin Riley. First 3 hitters of the game. 3-1, bottom 1. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Crazy. Real quick, just to sidetrack, but I saw this and I want to revisit it because I know that you guys, I've texted with you guys about this too. You guys have opinions on this question from Ethan Monday. Who's your favorite MLB play-by-play guy? Clay and I have this conversation a lot. And Ethan, I think you're going to like my answer.
Dwayne Kuiper. He is the GOAT. There is no better it's not just him. It's him and Kruko have been like best buddies forever. And it's just the entire Giants broadcast experience. I don't know how many times you guys sit down and watch a full Giants game start to finish, especially at Oracle Park. I don't know if they've got the best cameramen in the world or they've just got guys that get it. They understand Kruko and Kuiper. But what they do is they'll show scenes from around the ballpark. A guy, the other night there was that guy making love to his glass of wine, and it was just like the funniest thing you've ever seen at a ballpark. And they'll have a guy, going to town on an ice cream cone or a ball boy making a great play. It's how baseball is supposed to be called. Like, it's just, there's not too much talking. There's good analysis when there needs to be good analysis, but it's also taking in the sights and the sounds of a baseball game at Oracle Park, which is the best place in the world to watch a baseball game. It is the best broadcast experience in Major League Baseball by far.
So mine's actually Newport Goals Aram Leighton. That's a great poll. That's my favorite announcer in baseball history. But I love the points you make about Kuiper. They call ball, I think, the way that it should be called.
Yes.
I've heard this story about Dwayne Kuiper. I haven't met him, so I don't know if he still does this. But apparently he hands out business cards that say stop talking to play-by-play announcers. And that is the best thing ever. On radio, it's unique. Like, you got to describe. You got to, tell the whole story. But on TV, like a TV baseball broadcast is like, I think Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Kruko do the best job because they just don't get in the way of anything.
Yeah. But can I tell you something, Jack? I love listening to baseball on the radio because I love when there's no need to describe anything. And the guy just backs out and you hear the buzz of the crowd and you hear the organ or something. And the pitch comes in and, 2-1. And then it just sits again.
Sean Murphy.
Oh my
yard.
God. They're just teeing off.
4-1, bottom 1 against Joe Ryan. What's going on here?
That lineup is a menace. Can we talk about that lineup for a second? I mean, from top to it just never ends with those guys.
So I saw a note.
Position, man.
Let me pull this note up real quick. I saw this note earlier today. This from Grant McCauley. 3 more hits last night for Michael Harris. He's now hitting .435 over the last 3 weeks. He's 30 for his last 69. Yeah. So in the past 3 weeks, he's upped his clip. Nice. He's upped his clip from a $163 to $260. Raised his batting average 100 points in 3 weeks. Michael Harris is back, and that, speaking to your point, lengthens that lineup like crazy.
There's a lot, and they still have pieces that they can trade. Because when you go out and you get Matt Olson and Sean Murphy, and you send back a package that's quite undesirable for those type of players to Oakland, hell, they could go back to Oakland and get more players for them. And it's incredible how they still have pieces to be moved if they need it. Jack, do you think starting pitchers in play for Atlanta at the deadline? And I really don't want to get in like deadline discussion because there's a ton of that going on, but I did want to touch on this one thing.
Yeah, like it could be in play. Bieber's not in play for Atlanta. Like they don't need him.
How about Erod?
Maybe. I don't know. Like I view a Giolito as that kind of guy because he'll probably be a bit cheaper than Erod. I can see Giolito as an Atlanta Brave. I don't know. It's tough. Like I would have said that Giolito and Tim Anderson, trade to Atlanta is going to bang, but Orlando Arcia has been exponentially better than Tim Anderson. So
you know who's been good in that lineup? Ozuna from the Braves. He has been I'm dead serious. Like he's providing some pop. He can hit 8th in the lineup. Like he's actually, I thought that he was cooked and like done, which I kind of wish he was, but yeah, he's actually been pretty decent.
Rosario's been nice too. He's shown some power this year. I mean, it feels like every other night or something, Elijah or I are posting a video of Eddie Rosario going deep. Like that line, I'm telling you, man, that lineup is just so good top to bottom, and they're so terrifying. And Marlins fans, from what I see, like, they're still waiting to kind of make a judgment on where this team is. How can they make a run at October? Telling you right now, this series coming up with the Atlanta Braves this weekend, a lot of Marlins fans are going to be making their judgment calls on how they stack up with the Braves. If they go to Atlanta and they get pummeled the way they normally do, they're going to, I think a lot of Marlins fans will kind of start to doubt. But if they go there and they compete with the Braves, like they're so good. I mean, they're just kind of a step above everybody in the National League right now. They're
Last night,
so good.
I think Arizona's there too.
You think they're already there with the Braves?
Like, I know, but I think if you were to, look down from Atlanta's perch, Arizona's relatively speaking close. Yeah. Like, I think it's Atlanta, break, Arizona, break, everybody else.
Last night I'm watching baseball, and I saw something I've never seen before. And I wanted to ask if you all have seen this. So, of course, I'm watching who else but the Tigers play the Rangers.
Yeah, of course.
Matt Boyd, now announced today, needs Tommy John. Blows out his elbow in the first inning. The guy who comes in to replace him, Will Vest, injured and has to leave the game almost just a few pitches after. Have you ever seen that happen before? I had never seen two pitchers on the same team both get injured like that.
No.
Like that early in the game. It was so bizarre because at that point, and it's game 1 of a 6-game road trip. Like you were just scrambling. Very strange.
No, I have never seen that before. That's crazy. I saw Boyd needs Tommy John. That sucks for Detroit. Nick Kirby, if you're still in here, yes. The answer is yes. I get Noelvi Marte's AAA debut tomorrow, and then I'll see Connor Phillips throw this week.
That's really exciting.
Clay, I'll be in Louisville Thursday, Friday. If you want to make the trip to Louisville.
Hey man, you know what? I don't. I just don't now.
Yep.
You're not going to
didn't tell you about it until just now.
Guess what? The only reason I'm going to Louisville is because the Savannah Bananas are kicking us out of the booth in Indy. The Savannah Bananas are coming to Victory Field in downtown Indianapolis, and they need everything. Apparently, like McAfee has a suite. Like every Indy celeb has a suite. And I think they
Dan Dawkins, who the hell's an Indy celeb?
I don't know, Jim Irsay. There are others.
I mean, who do you have? Andrew Luck and his goofy butt up there with the suite or something?
Always looking for Jack Doyle.
But
so
yeah,
I just want to throw this out there because I was looking at it the other day and it doesn't stand true right now because the Dodgers have passed them. But in terms of the best of the rest, right? So they're looking at run differential here. There are 3 teams that are far and away above there are only 3 teams that are plus 100, over plus 100. The Rays are plus 150. The Rangers are plus 147. The Braves are plus 110. The next best team is the Dodgers plus 47. Do you know who the next best team is after the Dodgers?
In run differential?
In run differential.
Cubs.
Your San Francisco Giants. The Giants are plus 45. And when they went into that Milwaukee series where they blew out Milwaukee like 15-1 or whatever it was, they had a negative run differential. They turned the run differential around in that series, and they are now the 5th best run differential in Major League Baseball. I'm telling you right now, man, I've been watching a lot of this team recently. They're playing some good ball. They're playing there. That's a good team. And I got made fun of a lot for thinking that the Giants would improve from their 81 wins last year, but they won 81 games last year and they improved their roster. They signed Michael Conforto. He's been great. They brought up Casey Schmidt, who has had some he started really hot, kind of fell off, hasn't walked a whole lot. Luis Matos has made a great first impression. And can we talk about Camilo Doval? I know there might be more effective relievers out there right now, but is there a nastier guy in the game than the 101-mile-an-hour cutters, the 93-mile-an-hour sliders, and the 98-mile-an-hour sinkers that are coming in from Doval? Because watching him every time he goes out on the mound, even if he gets into some trouble, you just feel like the Giants are going to win the game, and it's amazing.
Answer is yes. There is a nastier guy in baseball. Yohan Duran in Minnesota is nastier.
Yeah,
he's disgusting. He's so gross.
Like 103-mile-an-hour splitter or something like that. And yes, a guy I forgot to mention is Thairo Estrada, who is just an awesome
second baseman in the game.
He is an awesome baseball player. Like, doesn't necessarily do anything great, but just does everything well. I just think this team is good, and it's going to be tough in the National League West. Look, the Dodgers aren't going anywhere, right? They're still going to win. Like, everybody said it was going to be a down year for the Dodgers, and they haven't looked overly convincing, right? They're still going to win 90 games. The Diamondbacks are legit. I think we all can say that at this point, that they're legit. They're really good. They're going to be really good all season long. And I just don't think the Padres are going to stay down forever, even if they don't necessarily make it to October. I think that top four.
I was about to say
tied it at 3-3. So I think the Padres may.
I mean, you know, the Padres and the Mets this year really making the whole like got to spend money argument look really bad this year. But I just think that the Giants, like, they're gonna be right there when it comes down to September and October. They're gonna be there in the race with the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks and whoever else in the National League makes a run at the wild card, whether the Phillies get hot, the Padres get hot, the Marlins kind of stay hanging around. The Giants are going to be one of those teams that we're talking about having a chance to make the playoffs in October. I have no, unless injuries and they just completely break apart. They have an interesting deadline. That's
the intern right there, Ryan Miller.
Can we talk about the Pirates batting helmets, by the way?
They're bad. I don't like them. Hey,
looks like they just spray painted them before the game. Just took them and just spray painted them right now.
0-0 right now. Mets, Brewers. Two teams that are not exactly heading in the direction that they want to head in. Brewers offense can't get it done. Mets have been terrible. Steve Cohen puts out a tweet this afternoon. Have you all seen this tweet?
Yeah. Yes.
And he pretty much said, like, having a press conference tomorrow. Just, like, doing it, man. Like, Jack and Ethan, what do you think it was that made him flip the switch and say, I'm doing it tomorrow, man. Fuck it. I'm doing it. Like,
it was probably Verlander's post-game media availability where he looked
sad.
Was
it a Tommy Pham just like struck out on a 3-0 pitch he swung and he's like, I'm done, man. I'm done. Like, what was his breaking point?
I could see Steve Cohen being the guy that, like, he's watching the game with his wife, who's also very active on social media, and he's just sitting there and something bad happens in the game and he throws his hands up and goes, that's it. Like, he's totally that guy. That's it. And then just stands
He's
up.
also the type of guy that, like, if someone hits a 2-run home run, his response will be, that'll do. Oh, yeah, that'll do.
That'll do the trick. I think that'll do it. It's a Tim Robbins do it.
No, I think
he's at dinner and gets a little bit of wine.
I've been talking to
that'll do.
my best friend is a Mets fan. And
Clay's not your best friend? Where'd you go? Hold on. Before Ethan plugs back in and continues this, he said Dwayne Kuiper is his favorite in the business. Clay, you've been focusing a lot more on this. Who is your favorite guy to listen to among the big league broadcasters?
Man, I don't know. I travel for work a lot around the armpit of Kentucky, and I oftentimes will just throw on anybody. And sometimes I'll text Jack, "Hey, who do I listen to in this game?" Or which one do I listen to? And I don't even know half their names as much as I listen to them. But I've realized recently, Jack and I talk about this a lot, just like learning about the trade or the art of calling a game and what we like and dislike. And the other day I called Jack, and I think we talked for like 45 minutes about just like calling games and talking about play-by-play and stuff, and it was awesome. So yeah, I've definitely grown an appreciation for it. There's booths that I like, there's some that I don't like too.
So my like quick answer, I love Dwayne Kuiper. I think John Miller and Dave Fleming are awesome on the radio side.
That's the thing about the Giants team, is that they go for
any option is good.
Yes, all of their options are good, and John Miller will come in and call the middle three, and Fleming will do the same, and there's no drop off between any of them.
No, they're all awesome. Other TV guys that I love, Dan Schulman with the Jays, obviously did Sunday Night Baseball for a long time. Dan Schulman is awesome. Boog Shambi is awesome. Jason Benetti's awesome. And then radio, I think Pat Hughes is the GOAT. I think Pat Hughes is the best, and nobody is anywhere close.
Jazz potentially injured.
My favorite Pat Hughes thing is when Wilson Contreras was on the Cubs, he called him Wilson Contreras.
Contreras, yeah.
Contreras.
Yes.
No, Pat Hughes is the best, and I actually grew up like play-by-play was the thing that I always wanted to do, and I just kind of didn't. But one day when Just Baseball is streaming,
Jack does play-by-play. If you want to pick his brain anytime,
when Just Baseball acquires the rights to the entire Major League Baseball, Jack McMullen and Ethan Budowsky in the booth is going to be nasty. But we're gonna call a game together one day. Jack McMullen,
great pull. Corey Provis is awesome on the radio. The Twins radio guy, Corey Provis is awesome. If any of you guys want to hit me up and talk about that, I'm happy to talk about it in the DM. I've listened to every TV guy.
Let's just run through the games real quick and let everybody know where we stand.
Good idea.
By the way, Jazz just hobbled down to first base a minute ago. He stayed in the game and everything, but a little bit, concerning seeing that. Right now, we got Cincinnati. Baltimore is in the bottom of the third. Runner on first. Baltimore up 1-0 with Abbott on the mound throwing his 56th pitch. Jack, there's really not like a ton going on. 3-3 with the Pirates against the Padres still. That was 3-0, I believe. So the Pirates make a little bit of a comeback there. 0-0 Giants, Blue Jays, and 3-1 Miami over Boston right now in the third inning. I should have let Jack do that, considering he does that for a living.
No, man. I thought you did an excellent job.
The out-of-town scoreboard.
I like the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by who? I do like Rick Monday. I'm also a huge Joe Davis and Oral Hershiser guy.
Yeah.
This is my guy from Ball State, Cody. He was the sports information director. He was the SID for Ball State football. He was previously the SID for Auburn basketball.
Ooh.
He was Bruce Pearl's guy, Cody Voga. But he drove from Muncie, Indiana to Denver, Colorado, got there, and was at the game on Saturday. That was 23-0 in the fourth inning. Brenton Doyle got him on the board. That was a huge knock, Cody Voga. So just be happy that you've got Brenton Doyle.
Brenton Doyle's actually a pretty decent player.
Okay, so
good shout by Smith in the chat, by the way. I've listened to Dontrell Willis on the Apple Plus broadcast. He is awesome. I was listening to a Cubs game earlier this year with Marlin legend Rich Waltz, who never should have left the Marlins booth. He is the best. Him and Dontrell Willis on a game together were absolutely fantastic. They were great.
Yes.
A couple players I like. Craig Monroe is really good, I think. I think Barry Larkin in the Reds booth is not very good, but getting better. Last year he was really bad, but he's improving. He really is. And Jack and I love to talk John Sadak as well, the Reds play-by-play announcer.
He's having so much fun, bro.
Dude,
can you imagine?
Sadak last year, he's one of those guys who, at times it seems like over the top and dramatic because he's so excited about everything. But his call on Ellie De La Cruz's cycle, it would have been the excitement of seeing your kid hit his first home run. That's truly how it was. This guy was yelling, screaming, just so fired up. I love the energy as a fan.
I think it's awesome for the Reds because that's how it should be. Because again, they were talking about this on Levitard. Joey Votto, not on Levitard. You were talking about it, Jack. Joey Votto, and how much fun he's having right now. Can you imagine? he's been around for so long, just meddling on mediocre teams, and now he's here and he's got this young, exciting, fun core of guys that he gets to bring up and show them the way. And there's something fun going on every night. Like, yeah, the Reds are having fun, man, and their announcers should be having fun, and Votto should be having fun, and it must be so exciting for the guys in the booth that have been there for so long to finally have, an exciting product to call. Like,
Clay, you hear this hombre just comp us to Levitard? That was crazy.
Yeah, that pisses me off because I'm a Dan Patrick guy. And guess who's on Dan Patrick? Joey Votto, because Dan Patrick gets real gas that people
the Danettes get real guests, and Dan Patrick is the vehicle.
Dan Patrick's awesome.
Michael Harris.
Either way, Joey Votto was on Dan Patrick this past week, kind of talking about that whole dynamic. And one thing I've always appreciated about Joey Votto is just how open and honest he is about everything. And he was saying, like, yeah, of course I was worried about coming in and, messing up a winning streak or feeling like I'm holding people back from reaching their goals or the team reaching its goals. So it was just really, really cool to hear him kind of talk about that in kind of a raw, emotional way. But it was kind of funny. Dan Patrick, who I think is the best at asking questions for any type of interview like that, just randomly asked him, he's like, do you try to hit home runs every time? And he's like, do I try to hit home runs? Yeah, every single time. Of course I do.
He's just like me on the show, man. That's all I'm trying to do. Is just
He's like, of course I'm trying to hit a home run every time. I don't care about a single. Like, I'm trying to hit a home run.
Bro.
Speaking of home runs, Michael Harris just hit another one.
Yeah.
It's 5-1 Braves in the second inning.
Can we revisit the Michael Harris thing? Also, that was bombs away from Michael Harris. Like, that wasn't a cheapo. That thing was rocked. But again, like, let me revisit this stat that I pointed out from Grant McCauley after last night's game. I think this is Aram on the call up YouTube right now. Can't believe he's not as bad as he was in April. No shit, man. Michael Harris, again, from Grant McCauley after last night's game, 30 for 69, 435 over the last 3 weeks, elevated the batting average from $133 to 260, and that was absolutely massive. You guys see who we've got in the waiting room right now? This is fun. I shot him the link.
What's going on, guys?
This guy needs more love, man. Ben Bellotti is the YouTube savant of Just Baseball. He is the czar of this account, and I love that we can just get you on here to talk some ball. What are we watching right now, Ben?
So I had the socks on, but like I don't know how much more I can watch this season. I mean, I'm feeling like a White Sox fan.
Oh, yeah. Gosh.
All right, man.
But
does that mean you're thinking you're going to become a White Sox fan, or that you are feeling like a White Sox fan does, which is I hate my team and I don't want to watch any more of it?
I pretty much the hate my team, don't want to watch anymore. Yeah. Like, they're not even that bad, because
that's what Bellotti's doing right now. He just came in.
The thing is, like, I keep saying, like, I told everybody coming into the year, I'm like, listen, anybody that would listen, I'm like, listen, the Red Sox are going to be terrible. Like, they're still, like, they would still be in first place in the National League or in the American League Central. I'm pretty sure, like, they still have a pretty solid record.
Being the tallest midget, man. It doesn't mean anything.
No, I know it doesn't mean anything, but I'm just saying that, it's like they're still playing 500 baseball about, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, like, you think that something's gonna go right, you go, 2-3 wins in a row, then all of a sudden it's, you're losing to the White Sox or to someone that you just should be rolling over to. It's not even like we didn't even lose to Giolito, it's like you lose to the worst possible people. It's just not fun to watch. But I've been tuning into the Braves a lot. I've been loving what Michael Harris is doing. I'm a huge Michael Harris guy, so to see him doing
of course you are, right after me.
Yeah.
Hey Ben, who has been your favorite team to watch this year?
You know what Ethan's doing? Ethan's walking the dog. Ethan, you know what, man? Just come back when you're done walking the dog.
The favorite team this year, it's at first I didn't watch any of it, but as soon as Ellie got called up, I've been watching the Reds nonstop. I know you guys were talking about it a little bit earlier, but I mean,
Acuna home run.
Acuna just did it again.
19th of the year. Dude. Statcast says 96.7 off the bat with a 27-degree launch angle.
Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, this is bombs away, dude. 6-1 in the second inning. Joe Ryan, let's do a live ERA check, because Joe Ryan came in with a sub-3. What do you think it's at right now?
3.14.
3.51.
Whoa.
Wow.
Joe Ryan with a 3.5 out of absolutely nowhere. This is what happened to Strider, though. 2 blow-up starts, and now he doesn't look like one of the best pitchers in baseball because you sort by ERA, and it's like, where's Spencer Strider? Now you do the same thing, where's Joe Ryan?
You watch I was watching a game. I don't even remember who they were playing, and Spencer Strider, they had the game plan down against him. It was just swinging at the fastball early in the count, and they were demolishing him somehow. I don't know what's going on there with Spencer Strider, but man, Joe Ryan, buy low candidate in fantasy, right?
Right now, he was to sell high like an hour ago. And
I know, man.
Low.
Hey, the market changes fast, Jack. You got to stay on top. But so sorry, Ben. Go on about your favorite teams.
So I'm about the Reds, I guess. Yeah, the Reds. The way they're playing baseball is insane. I mean, the young guys they have, I love Spencer Steer, honestly.
Dude.
I mean, I can't love him more than Ellie, but I think Spencer Steer, if I were to buy a Reds jersey today, I would buy a Spencer Steer jersey.
The thing about Spencer Steer that I love, that I feel like, and this is just gut feel, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I just don't feel like the Reds have a player who's that consistent in a while. Like his worst stretch of the season was like he didn't get on base for like 2 total games. That's it. Like that's how consistent he is, and he has been so good this entire season. And hey, rookie who's playing third base, other guys are coming up, move him to first, move him to left. It doesn't matter. It does not affect him at the plate, and it's only making him better in the field. The Reds just scored. I saw TJ Friedel come around to score. I did not see who hit it. I'm sure Evan will let us know. Matt McClain, who's been fantastic.
Yeah,
4 extra base hits the other day in one game.
And that's what's great about this team, too. I mean, I know the Cardinals aren't the best example right now, but we talked about it all the time, or Jack did. Brendan Donovan, the guy that plays everywhere. That's like half the Reds team. Half the Reds team is just like, you want to play third base today? Sure. You want to go in the outfield today? Sure. I mean, even India, has just been flying around, going like crazy, like all over. The versatility and the ease that they do it at is just so impressive.
Yeah, they've been great. Jack said he's going to be right back at a Wi-Fi issue. So as we go around the league, I have St. Louis losing right now in the top of the second to Houston 1-0. St. Louis, Ben, a team with vets, a team who can't sell. Like, I don't see them just selling. They have Goldschmidt getting older. They have Arenado not looking like himself at third base. They have him getting older, and they have an outfield and this vibe to them that's like not really meshing right now. Can they buy though? I don't think that they're like good enough to buy, but is that the only option, or do you just sit on your hands, get a new manager in the offseason and try again next season?
I think the best bet is new manager, but he definitely can't sell. If they sell, it's just like it's over for years.
The Cardinals have never sold.
No, first of all, they never sold, but who are you going to sell? I mean, if you sell a Goldschmidt or Arenado, the rest of the team is just the vibes are going to be completely off. They're going to hate it. You're lost. You're lost for like years to come. But you can't really buy. Like they need pitching, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, man, they're in a really, really tough spot. Milwaukee.
They can't be this bad though. They can't be.
I agree, they can't. But every time I watch them, man, they're finding ways to lose. In the past, they were the team that found ways to win every time, right?
Right.
It's catching up with them. I'm not going to count them out just because I never count them out, but I'm seeing a team performing in a way that I've never seen them perform in the past 25 years. 25 years. Big track record there. We have San Francisco against Toronto, still 0-0 in the fourth, 5-3. Pittsburgh's come all the way back in the third inning. Milwaukee just gave up a run to New York Mets, 1-0 in the fourth. Ellie De La Cruz is up to bat right now. Ellie De La Cruz, 0 for 1 on the night, 1-1 tied in the fourth inning, runner on second. Ellie De La Cruz, Ben, any player remind you of him, or is he just a complete outlier?
For like a week, you remind me of like Fernando Tatis for like a week in like the 2020 or 2021 season, whenever he went crazy. But then since then, it's like you can't talk enough about him. No one runs as fast as him. No one hits as hard as him. A switch hitter or two. There's literally no one like him on the planet. There's guys that are built like him, like O'Neal, but like they can't do it like he can.
there's something about him, not only his skills, but his personality. And
His
I don't know
move.
what he has that it factor you can't describe, to the point that not only are people talking about him all over the place, but like even non-baseball people, like my father-in-law doesn't watch baseball.
Yeah.
He's like texting me about Ellie De La Cruz. Like my 3-year-old niece is learning how to say Ellie De La Cruz and FaceTiming me to show me. Like people are just buzzing about this kid and everyone's talking about him. It's really cool to see it happening to a team like Cincinnati
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of needed something like that. I know we've talked about the Reds a lot. Also have the Red Sox game on. Tristan Casas just booted a ball at first base. Tristan Casas, though, was off to a terrible start. Terrible. Recently, though, as Colby reminds me day in and day out, he's starting to hit. What have you seen over the past 2-3 weeks?
It's a guy that's definitely looking more comfortable than he did at the beginning of the year. The defense is still concerning because like he's
We
supposed
just
to be
saw it
this Gold
firsthand.
Glove.
Yeah, he booted a backhand. Luis Ariz on first.
Yeah. Let's see if Jack. I can't tell if he's doing the frozen treatment or he's actually frozen. I think he's a little bit of both.
I think Jack's frozen again. So just we'll go on with Tristan Casas talk for now.
He comes into the year and they tell you he's going to be a Gold Glove defender. And I haven't been completely disappointed with the defense, but there's just some things that happen, like that booted ball or other games. You're like, dude, you got to have that. But the hitting is coming around. His outs are hard. He's looking comfortable in the box. So I'm ultimately not worried about him. But it's definitely, if he's firing on all cylinders at the potential that he can be, I think the Red Sox are a different team right now. So him not playing up to the full potential is a real, it's hurting them a lot.
Yeah, he's a guy who there's a lot to be excited about, and he's somebody you have to be patient on. He's showing some flashes. Not everybody shows up and hits at their potential right away. Right now we have Detroit against the Rangers, Texas Rangers, about to go. Martin Perez on the mound for the Rangers, a team that's been my favorite to watch this year is the Texas Rangers. I just
a great pick.
Love everything about this lineup and what they bring and kind of a cohesion. They're deep as hell too. Martin Perez has not been the same player. Now, Martin Perez from his days with Boston, and this is a guy who was pretty mediocre. I mean, let's just put it simply. He was an okay pitcher, right? He had some flashes, but wasn't special. Comes over to Texas last year, pitches incredibly well, thanks to Jonah Heim stealing more strikes than any other catcher in the MLB last year. That helped him a lot. This year, he's back to pretty good, but this Texas team is just awesome, aren't they?
Yeah, man. I mean, they can just flat out hit, and it's unbelievable. And even when they have John Gray and Perez is, like you said, not been as good as last year, but still really good. And you have production like that on the pitching side, and the lineup's that good, you're never out of a game. But I think Heim is probably the most underrated player in baseball right now.
He's incredibly well. I wrote an article Just Baseball about him probably about a month ago and did a bunch of deep dive stats on him. And I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it was like 246 stolen strikes last year. Yeah. So pitches that were outside of the zone that he moved back in and were called a strike. And it was significantly higher than second place. And if you looked at the ERAs of each pitcher, career ERA with Jonah Heim, all of them ticking down. Really, really interesting player. Good for him. They got him from Oakland for next to nothing in that weird Chris Davis, Elvis Andrus trade. Aram Layton's in. He's already drinking. That's how the stream's going so far as he's been listening, I guess. Aram, what's up?
It's 1:10 a.m. here.
And you're drinking?
Yeah.
You should be sleeping.
No. We're enjoying a nice slate. I got Red Sox, Marlins on the left. I got Braves, Twins up on the TV. Ooh, that's a nice sound.
What do you got?
Is that on your end or my end?
I don't know. I'm here to declare Kona Big Wave as the drink of the summer. I don't know what you guys are doing here.
That's one of the best beers in the business.
It is. What? Your girlfriend's dog is named Kona.
Girlfriend's dog's named after Kona Big Wave. I've been trying to put together that email pitch. Hey, your beers. I've already thought about it. Think about this. the beer is built around, Hawaii, Kona Island, whatever it is, that area and all that good stuff. But they're starting to put some more of those beers in ballparks. And like we identify that and we say, hey, like we know the ethos of Kona Big Wave. And ultimately, like we know that it's bigger than just a beach beer. It belongs at the ballparks. And then I that's the punchline. Picture of Kona with her little collar there. Please pay us a large sum to sponsor the podcast. Done.
Dogs, beer, and baseball. There's no better combo.
Park at the Park, sponsored by Kona Big Wave.
Dude, your plan is wrecked.
Why?
Your plan is so shot. Rory's already had Big Waves at Great American Ballpark.
Who?
Rory. Do you see this comment that's up right now?
No, that's my point. That's my point. They're putting them in the ballparks, but they're not marketing it.
I thought you were talking like, okay, so I think White Claw's marketing tactic, their slogan is "Find Your Wave," which is really interesting. I feel like that's a Kona Big Wave thing, but Kona Big Wave's thing is Liquid Aloha, which is awesome. Like that might be the best slogan in sports.
Not if you want to get into the stadiums, though. That hurts.
That's true.
That hurts.
That makes me want to go to a beach, not a.
I went to a Brooklyn Cyclones game, and they had Kona Big Wave there. But I've gone to a couple big league ballparks, and they have them there. I think there's something there. We could help get them into the ballpark. But anyway, speaking of that, Garrett Cooper's up against Garrett Whitlock here with the opportunity to make it 6-1.
Yeah.
In a Marlins. Oh, there it is into that's caught by noted center fielder Adam Duvall. At what point do we take the Marlins serious? That's what I'm here for. And that's a genuine question because I don't know what to do. I'm very cynical with this team. The last time that they were remotely relevant, I was forced to go to sleepaway camp because my parents wanted to enjoy their summers. So that puts in perspective how young they were or how young I was. So, this was 2008. It was
back when you could send your kids to sleepaway camp just to have a good summer.
Just so that you can go on vacation and get your annoying ass Velcro son out of the house. I'm thinking other than that, I haven't really seen a team that has really flirted with 500 or even above that. That year, I was getting newspaper clippings. We had no access to technology. Newspaper clippings from my dad, and I see Marlins have interest in Manny Ramirez. And I'm like, dude, I go away for one fucking summer. And they're not only winning, they're in on Manny Ramirez. Fell through because the Red Sox wanted this dude named Mike Stanton, so the deal didn't happen. He ends up going to the Dodgers, and that's where you got Mannyville.
How many people
Guys, so this is Percy, and while we were walking, she told me she's got some serious hot takes.
Ethan, shut up for a second. We're in the middle of
wholesome moment here.
No, shut the hell up for a second.
You're in timeout. You're in timeout for a minute.
You can't script that shit.
Go on. I like this.
Unbelievable.
So I was getting newspaper clippings with the standings. That was the only way I would know because this sleepaway camp, it was borderline I felt very trapped, and I think they took your technology away so you couldn't tell your parents how miserable you were. That's why I'm good at ping pong, by the way, because I just played every day. I cried to myself.
It was the Forrest Gump thing.
Yeah, played in the rec room for 12 hours until the sun went down. I'm like, oh, one day down, 20 more to go, and got through it. But yeah, of course, that was the summer. But point aside, that was one of the last years they finished over 500. 2009, Dan Uggla, Hanley Ramirez, Mike Jacobs. The last infield to have 25 home runs across the entire infield, Jorge Cantu. And that's really the last team that's been relevant. So now this team's kind of floating around there, but it's not as talented as that team. I think it really just boils down to that. It's not as talented, and there's way more polarity in our league now than there was then in terms of money and how much is being spent. And their ace sucks. So what is at what point are we fully – I'm starting to see the national media buy-in like they did in 08 and 09 when the Marlins were in on Manny Ramirez. Yeah. Is it time to actually buy in on this now? The run differential still trash. I think that's a joke, but at the same time, you'll get every other team that's above 500. Their run differential is good. Yeah. There's some reason to it. When are we buying this?
So let me say my piece real quick, and then I want to open the floor here to the other Marlins, fan, the other person that grew up as a Marlins fan in here. The way that I kind of view them is you're going to be the last mover, Aram. Like I know that. Everybody is going to buy into the Miami Marlins, and watching you watch the Miami Heat, you're like, oh, they're fucked in the first quarter. Like that's your kind of thing. It's guilty until proven innocent. It's bad
I got
until
more
proven
belief in. I will, but yeah, this year I was 100%. They're fucked every game.
Did Buxton just take Elder yard? No, fly out to left. Dude, I mean, this is Elder just beating Joe Ryan. Like Joe Ryan is stung, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I don't know. Like the way that I want to view it is Sandy has been bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there a world where Sandy has a 5 at the end of this year? I don't see that world.
I've gotten to the bottom of all that. I think too. That's coming soon on justbaseball.com.
Okay, perfect. So I don't know if there's a world that Sandy has a 5 at year's end. So Sandy can't be any worse moving forward. Jazz Chisholm is finally healthy, and he made shit happen in the top of the first inning tonight. So, like, I'm buying what the Marlins are selling at this point because they look as complete as they have probably since that time that you're talking about. Now, I think you have rubbed off on me, and I'm just
that time was the housing crisis, by the way.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's a very unique situation, but I'm turning a corner here, saying I do believe the Marlins can be a postseason team in October.
So I got a couple things here. First, Aram and I had extremely different sleepaway camp experience. My girlfriend gets mad at me because of how much I talk about sleepaway camp, especially when I'm around my friends.
All my Jewish friends loved camp.
Yeah, I had a great time.
They all get a shower together.
I will say that I did have the same thing. Like I went to camp the summer. My first year was the summer that LeBron, Wade, and Bosh signed with the Heat, and I was getting emails from my, they would take emails and print them out. And that's how I was hearing about what was going on with the Heat. Anyway, the second thing is I also remember the Manny Ramirez trade deadline. And I remember being in my house and hanging out with my brother and our best friend. And we would walk into the TV room with the trade deadline special on ESPN.
The only way you can get the
go, hey, Manny just got traded to the Marlins, and we'd all run in and they go, Manny just got traded to the Manny just got traded to the Dodgers. And we were like, oh crap. Like we missed out on Manny Ramirez because they just didn't pull the trigger on a team that in hindsight, you might have wanted to pull the trigger. That was probably your best chance since 2003 and then, the COVID year. But
do you remember what Manny Ramirez did for the Dodgers that year?
Nothing.
No, you're wrong.
Oh, wrong.
It was everything.
It was one of the most incredible performances in an 60-game stretch that I think the league has ever seen.
It was, he didn't try a single bit. He didn't try on purpose. So he basically pulled a James Harden to get off the Red Sox, went to the Dodgers and had the most unfathomable out of body experience.
I got you. Here we go.
Was the next year the year that he got
Yeah, then he was asked right after.
It might have been the off season. It could have been the off season.
So in 66 games for the Dodgers, he slashed 311, 405, 510 with 8 home runs, as many walks as strikeouts, and 15 doubles. Yeah.
You know what's something about Manny that feels weird to me, and this leads me to I have to play the Immaculate Grid still, is he was on the Indians in the 97 World Series that played the Marlins. That timeline does not match up with in my head. And so was Jim Thome. And I think was Omar Vizquel on that team as well.
Yeah, that team was. Yeah. They were like legit good. Like that was
Grady Sizemore.
That was phase one of their career, but they were still really good.
Anyway, pre-Grady Sizemore, that might have been pre-Grady Sizemore.
It was pre-Grady Sizemore,
right? Anyway, the with the Marlins this year,
Kenny Lofton.
I think the biggest thing is like they're about to hit a really. Did Gene Segura just go deep?
My God! League's fucked.
Anyway, you guys are right. Like they've been playing this well without Sandy and without Jazz. And I was listening to Levitard and stupid David Sampson was on, and he was talking about, I've got sources that say that, the Marlins are going to be fractured once Jazz comes back. And the reason they're playing so well is because it's the easiest take in the world that they'll start struggling now that Jazz is back, because They just got fat off a bunch of bad teams, and now they're going to start running into some really good teams. So their record might look worse over the next month or two than it did without Jazz, because he just missed a chunk of the schedule. But you know what? Right now, the Red Sox are not, none of us think they're any good, but they're still a 500 baseball team, right? Hanging around there, and they're beating up on them pretty good. Sandy's pitching better than I've seen him pitch in probably 5-6 starts. Luzardo is awesome, and they have a guy hitting 400, So I just think that the big thing is going to be, what do they do at the deadline? Do they care enough to go out and make a splash? Because this is the time. Like, we've been waiting for them to make a splash. We've, and Arias, like, that was a splash. Okay, that was like, we should not disregard the fact that they made one of the better moves in the offseason.
AJ Puck move was great too.
AJ Puck was a great move, but they still haven't gotten the center fielder. They didn't bring back Starling Marte. Brian Reynolds re-upped with the Pirates. Cattell Marte was a guy that they were in on. Brandon Marsh was a guy that they were in on. There's been a million guys.
The Biden and Sellers
all
thing.
time.
Hey, before we get too deep into the past of the Marlins mistrades, Gavin Williams is on the mound right now for Cleveland. Jack Arm, I wanted to hear your all's thoughts on him, because when I watched him the first game, and I had not seen much of him, I saw one game in the minors of him pitch. I noticed right away something looks different about the ball out of his hand. When you were just watching, I did not know what, so I texted you all and said, "You all know what's going on here. What the hell am I seeing? Because something looks different about this kid."
Jack, I'll let you go first.
I mean, he's a big guy and the ball explodes out of his hand. That is the surface level naked eye type stuff. And I know that Lance Budowsky did a nice job almost quantifying that, but qualifying who Gavin Williams is. I think this guy has the makings of like an ace for the next decade. Like, I am as high on Gavin Williams as I've been on really any pitching prospect in quite some time. Like, Yuri's awesome. Painter's awesome.
Brandon Marsh home run. Sorry, go ahead.
Brandon Marsh homer. How about
Tank.
Also, we got to get to Marsh being a wet guy. That came out last postseason where he wets his hair between every half inning, and like, they asked a teammate why, and I forget which teammate it was, but they were just like, "That's how he gets his fucking edge." I love that. I was like, okay, word. He's a wet guy, but I don't think Williams is in that class of the Yuri Perez and the Andrew Painter and the Grayson Rodriguez. I don't think he's close to that class, but
he's in the Grayson Rodriguez class now.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, because he slid. But I think Gavin Williams has the opportunity to be a legit one for the next 10 years, because he's such a big dude. We've seen him top at 101. This guy can spin the shit out of his fastball. That curveball is getting a little bit better, and we know how good that slider is. The thing that I noticed about Williams in like multiple live looks is he was just not going in on righties. And I was talking to Arm about this on the call up. Like, it was a very, very unique approach from a power pitcher. I typically think, okay, you throw 100, like, go in, put the fear of God in hitters, and then just dominate. But he does one thing really well with his fastball, and it's outer half to righties, and he just rode that.
Is Brian Wu in that same tier as him?
No.
So Arm's eating one pizza trying to get his words out.
I am dying at Jack's a Pike for sure. I'm absolutely losing my mind at that comment.
So the thing with Gavin,
do you want me to flip the hat around?
Gavin Williams. Wait, Jack, what frat are you gonna rush in?
Jack's a Pike.
Does your hat say?
So Gavin Williams, big dude. Honestly, relatively speaking, like a very low attack angle for a 6'6" righty. So the ball really takes off out of his hand. His extension is insane. So you'll get like relative extension as a 6'6" guy. Like, it doesn't look like he's reaching out that far, but he really does reach out far and low, which is kind of crazy. So the ball gets in on the hitters really quick. Then the slider off of that is just like insane. He repeats the release point really, really, really well. So that's what makes him like super, super nasty. Brian Wu is more of like that poor man's Joe Ryan, and similar to Bryce Miller, where I think it's way more fastball dependent. Like, Gavin Williams is a higher ceiling because his slider is also elite. Wu and Bryce Miller's sliders aren't that good, but their fastballs are so good that their sliders become swing and miss pitches because hitters are so geared up for the fastball. So it's like almost like secondary game there. I do think that like Gavin has frontline potential. I think Woo, the fastball alone guarantees him being a big league arm. But I do wonder, and we need more like case studies. What is the ceiling of those like high induced vertical break fastball guys?
Yeah.
Because even Christian Javier, who's like the best iteration of that, every time we think they're going to be an ace, they just lack the consistency. They have those like lights out starts where the fastball is really riding and they're spotting it. And we're like, whoa, this guy's unhittable. But you can't always spot it like that. And if you try to find me a high induced vertical break fastball guy other than DeGrom, that is like 70% fastball, 65% fastball, and a frontline dude, it's hard to find. But there's a lot of guys that like can use that to get to the big league. So it's an interesting like floor versus ceiling thing. But I think Gavin has enough potential with the third and fourth pitch. The curveball looks good. Changeup's coming along. That I do think he's going to be like a frontline guy.
Is this
Miguel
the power
Cabrera
trade, by the way?
RBI single, by the way. Tigers up 1-0. It's 6-1 Braves, 1-1 Reds, Baltimore, 3-6 Pirates are up in that one. Giants scored 1-0. Marlins 6-1 against the Red Sox. Oof, Ben. Holy shit.
Let me give you this.
Have you been?
Is
Kevin
this the power
Gausman
trade right here?
This was not. And
Will Benson.
I want to visit this with Clay and Aram here in a moment. But Kevin Gausman no hit through 4 1/3. Took like no hits through the first 4 1/3 against Gausman. Tyro Estrada singles, steals a base. Pat Bailey doubles. Like
Pat Bailey's been great,
man.
Pat Bailey's been great. Exactly. So I think that's like the Giants thing, right? In 2021, we're talking about timeshare. You got a bunch of geezers playing, 100 games a year. Like Longo played 110, Posey played 110, Belt played 110, Crawford 110. I think this version of the Giants, like they're just going to be good because Tyro's going to get on base. Pat Bailey's going to drive him in, that kind of thing.
The team's fun, man. I'm telling you,
Tigers just scored again. Christopher Morel up with the Cubs down 2-0 to the Phillies.
Pat Bailey, by the way, common Aram Leighton L.
Yeah, that was an
So
Aram.
out on
I
that
remember
guy.
he came up and Aram was like, "Nah, he's not any good." And I was like, "Oh,
No,
all
I was
right."
so
He's just
out on
another-
that
he's
guy.
just- maybe the Giants are just it's a call up that won't work out. But he's been awesome. Sable has had some nice moments too behind the plate. I think they've pretty much moved on from Joey Bart, and these are the guys that they're going to be carrying forward.
Sable, Aram was right about Bart. I watched Sable with Indy last year, and he was a surprise non-40 man protection for the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Them running out of hedges and
he's a
delay
Rule 5
right
pick?
now.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was a Rule 5 pick for San Francisco or for Cincinnati, and then Cincinnati traded him to San Francisco.
Is Julio Teheran really pitching for the Brewers right? Is that
he's
really
got a
the how,
good,
how do
actually.
they
He's been
expect to be
insane.
competitive?
He's been
How
awesome.
do they expect to be competitive with Julio Teheran throwing him every 5 nights?
Julio
been
Teheran
Because
is
he's
tough
had a
too.
quality start every time.
Yeah, he's been the best
Not
arm
right
in their
now. He's
rotation
down
the last
4-0 to the Mets. Brandon Nimmo 2-run homer.
It's the modern day quality start right there.
So I do want to visit this Will Benson thing because the trade tree is fascinating, and Arm and I have talked about this. Tyler Mahle for Spencer Steer, Christian Encarnacion Strand, who's one of the best hitters in the minor league so far this year and last year, and Steven Hadger, who in turn the Reds flipped Hadger for Will Benson and Cleveland.
Hadger and a one Justin Boyd, I think, is that his name?
Yeah, he was a second round pick.
Okay, so it turned into Mahle and Justin Boyd for Benson, Steer, and CES.
Yep.
That's a masterclass from Nick Kroll.
And those who don't know who Will Benson is, I believe Arm and I were on a live podcast, or I was on I think it was with Arm when he got traded. And we were talking about that, and you were talking about Will Benson a bit, and we saw him in spring training look good. He was terrible out of the gate. Gets sent down to AAA, starts walking, something that he did not do enough of. Since he's been called up, slashing 346, 478, 600. That's over 1,000 OPS. 2 triples, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, 4 stolen bases. The main thing is he's not swinging at those garbage pitches.
Mhm.
He's laying them off now. Massive power. The type of guy that has a higher ceiling than TJ Friedel, than some of the other, Stuart Fairchild that the Reds have been running out. I like him a lot. I love what I'm seeing. And the other thing, he is just like the best person too. Does all this community stuff, just like such an outstanding person that you want around your organization, that I think the Reds are going to give him every single shot, and he's earned it.
Can I just say something on the Reds real quick? Is the reason that I'm so excited about them, the reason that I believe that, even if they fall off this year and don't necessarily make the playoffs, but that they'll be around, is because they've got reinforcements. It's the same thing with the Orioles, is they're just going to keep bringing talent up. They're not going to stop anytime soon. And, the Reds, we've covered plenty around Just Baseball on our website. The infield overload that they have right now, they're just going to keep cooking. And they've got so much talent in the minors still. And that's just what makes me believe, that like Hunter Green is hurt right now, right, Clay? He's missed his last couple starts, I think.
Yeah, he'll be out until August. Put that comment up from Rory, whoever can do that.
Also, real quick too on Benson. To me, he's a carbon copy of Nolan Jones. Like those guys are extremely similar.
Who's been awesome, by the way.
They both got traded for a reason. Guardians hate those archetypes. And I get it. With those archetypes comes a lot of risk and a lot of things that you have to tolerate. But at the same time, like those two guys are the exact kind of athletes who I think overcome the risk that comes with that archetype. So I thought it was baffling that they traded both of them. I would have traded maybe one of them. Hedge some of your risk.
And the other thing, look at those two's home ballparks now. Coors Field, Great American Ballpark.
They got blessed.
Dude,
I know Nolan Jones was over the fucking moon when he got traded.
And
the second
over the moon.
He got traded, I was like, man, I wish that would happen to Griff. Like, I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, I wish you got traded to the fucking moon in AAA. Albuquerque, are you crazy?
You'd have a 1,400 OPS.
Dude, there's some bums that have a crazy stat line in Albuquerque or a crazy stat line.
Dude, I remember, Aram, you'll love this. When Monte Harrison was in AAA with the New Orleans Baby Cakes, and he went out to like Albuquerque and Reno and Nevada, he went on fire, dude. And I was like, this kid, here comes Monte. And you can never trust. Like I think Clay and I were talking about Blade earlier this year. And we were just saying how, like, yeah, he's got some nice stats, but comparatively to where the hitting environment that he's in, like, it's just not. Like, you have to take everything there with a grain of salt. If you're not tearing the cover off the ball, then it doesn't.
What do you think the average OPS is in the PCL?
It's got to be over 750, right?
It's over 800.
Jeez.
Yeah, I want everyone's guess.
827.
I'm gonna play the immaculate grid while all this is going on. Royal and Red Sox, Jackie Bradley Jr.
No, he got cut.
I'm gonna go 808.
Yeah, give me 822.
Do you know how good an 822 OPS is?
So good. So good, dude.
The average PC fucking L player, 839 OPS.
Oh,
the average Reno Ace.
Hold on, Logan just won. I think he was the
28.
Yeah, it's right there.
He won up me. He's playing Jeopardy, man. He bet just one less.
Mariner and Guardian, Taylor Trammell.
Also, Logan, I was remote for this series. I didn't ditch you. I was remote, okay?
You never played for the Guardians.
Hey, I want to chip in real quick. Andrew Abbott, 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 6 Ks. The walks, man, he's been walking a lot more than I thought he would since he's been up. But holding Baltimore, 5 innings so far, 2 hits and 1 run, that's pretty damn good.
Can we talk about future game selections and how
Zach Greinke 97% on Royals 200+ Ks seasons. 97%.
Yeah,
Taylor Trammell apparently never played for the Guardians because he was not a correct answer for the Guardians and the Mariners.
No, Trammell wasn't a Guardian. Trammell was a Padre. Was
a Red, a Mariner. He was never. Red. I thought he was in the. I thought
no, he didn't. No, he did not play for the Reds.
I thought
he was a Red for an offseason.
Guardian swaps.
Yeah, but the grid is service time. At least you gotta have service time in the MLB.
I guess he never.
Ethan, you were thinking he was involved in the Trevor Bauer trade that brought Trevor Bauer to the
Wait,
Reds, but he
can we
went
also get-
to.
No,
Can I
but
get
he
a-
went to the Guardians, right? But he must have never played a game there because he wasn't an answer for the
wasn't called
Guardians
up.
and the
He was in
Mariners.
the minor leagues.
There you go.
I think it was the
Can I also
3-2.
get a Ben Velotti state of the Red Sox?
We went over it a a bit.
Mike Napoli.
Trevor
I'm
Story,
out.
man. When Trevor Story comes back, I tell you
No.
what.
I'm
So
out.
I have a serious question for you, Ben.
Yeah.
Colby Olson hosted the Just Fantasy show. One of my really good friends. We've been very tight since I met him he was a freshman in college. I was a sophomore. We watched baseball together. We hung out. We went out. Like, we became very tight boys. I'm worried about him because
Matt McClain home run.
He's a little
I-
delusional.
I'm worried about him because I just don't know how, like, the guy that I got to know, the smart kid that I've grown to become friends with, can watch that team day in and day out and say, hey, this team's going to compete. Like, this team can be good. And also, this general manager, he makes good moves. Like, should I be worried about my friend?
DeGrom has never lasted long enough in a season to have 200 Ks, by the way.
Thank you,
It's
Ethan.
true.
Um,
Let me say that the first thing I said when I hopped in the stream is I was watching the Red Sox and I immediately turned it off. I mean,
Yeah, I heard that. So,
You
but
go-
I'm
I go-
more like, should I
Yeah, no.
Baker act my friend? Is basically what I'm asking you.
you just gotta let him be, man. I mean, he's he sees
he
the good
unwell?
he sees the good flashes, and this year has
I haven't seen
proven that
Flash.
Bloom has made some decent moves. We'll say that,
Like what?
but I don't know. I like Verdugo.
Yeah, but he traded him. He traded him.
Yeah, but it was
for him. Come on, man. He can't- Like, yeah, he got a good player, but he traded Mookie Betts for him. He
All
can't
right.
do that.
Masataka
I'll
Yoshida is a
I'll
good
bite.
move.
Who the hell's Mookie Betts?
He snapped on the Christian Vasquez trade. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
fucked
that was a
with-
great
fucked with
trade.
That return.
Play Mookie Betts is the bowler.
Does he play shortstop for the Dodgers?
The Red Sox could use
Like
shortstop.
second base.
Yeah, no, you should be a little bit worried about Colby. He's a little too stubborn with his Sox takes, but
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
quick score update here. We've got Pirates over the Padres 6-3 in the fifth. 2-1 Reds over the Orioles after the Matt McClain homer. Abbott's been really good, top 6. Through 5, only run in Giants Blue Jays is San Francisco, that RBI double from Bailey. 6-1 Marlins over the Red Sox through 5. Top of the 6th in Queens, 4-0 Mets over the Brewers. Early runs have halted for a good bit. Bryce Elder still throwing, but Joe Ryan, I think, out of the game. Top 4, 6-1. Braves have the lead over the Twins. Bottom 4, 2-1 Astros over the Cardinals. Late decision to have Jordan Montgomery start for St. Louis. Framber Valdez on the hill for Houston. 2-0 Detroit over Texas. 2-0 Philly over the Cubs at Wrigley. No score, Gavin Williams and Brady Singer in Kansas City. And then Dodgers-Rockies is in the warm-up phase. We've got 2 dogs that have popped up so far. Ethan's dog, Clay's dog. What kind of dogs we got?
Well, first off, my dog would kick your dog's ass, Ethan. Just
Dog
want
is
to
a
say that.
20-pound dog. It's just 20 pounds. Dude.
All right, well, my dog would curb stomp your dog, so get over it. This is my dog, Bailey. She is 6 months old, golden retriever.
Real original choice.
Yeah, my wife
American
is
family.
a basic white girl, so she got a golden retriever. It's that simple.
Good on you.
Was Mitch Moreland ever a Ranger?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was.
yeah, like the majority of his career.
I think that was like where he was good.
8% on Mitch Moreland. 7%
Hey,
on
was Barry
Mike Neville.
Bonds ever with
My
the
dog is-
Giants?
My dog is a Havanese. Her name is Percy. She's really, really cute. Everybody tells me she has human eyes, and she kind of like freaks some people out.
Is that a Percy Jackson thing?
No, come on, dude. It's Percy Harvin.
Oh, that's so much worse.
Yeah, that's a lot worse. I was gonna call you weird, but now you've got character flaws.
Do you see my office? Like, do you see what I got going on here? I got a national championship.
Hey, Logan's coming at Aram for being the PB&J guy.
Dude,
But
what's wrong
I
with a
just-
PB&J, man?
Best sandwich in the world.
Pizza.
I just saw him eat 1:30 a.m. pizza, and it's British pizza. It's probably
And-
not even that good.
And this is the leftover. What would you call these?
It's from high tea.
These are like the leftover like pastries from high tea. You ever done a high tea before? It's
Like
crazy.
finger sandwiches and pastries.
I thought they'd
Ellie-
get me like a joint. Instead, I just got like tiny little sandwiches.
Ellie, do you want to hop in the conversation too?
No.
Ellie,
No,
Cardinals thoughts? Cardinals thoughts?
Oh, she saw the Cardinals up close and personal.
I did.
How's the pitching?
Ellie, tell us how it went.
It wasn't all my hopes and dreams.
Yeah. What do you think of the bouncy turf?
It was, I've never seen anything like it. My grandma she blamed the first loss on me. She said my vibes weren't good enough.
Yeah.
But I got a happier text after the second game. So
How do you feel about the pitching?
it makes me sad that Waino's not good.
It's fair. Would you trade Mason Wynn?
I don't know.
Take
who that
hands.
I think Ellie is definitely not alone on and we can go into Cardinals pitching now on the Waino being bad makes me sad kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that I was genuinely sad watching that. Like
is. It makes me
serious.
actually, it breaks my heart.
How many times did I look at you and I was like, "This is so sad."
It
It was like I get it. Like not you can't pitch forever. I just thought like Waino would be the guy. Like I thought he was Jamie Moyer.
No one likes to see that.
It's just
You know,
it's just a bummer, man, because I think that we all kind of came into the year and we were like, why have the Cardinals not acquired more pitching? And it's all showing within the first 3 months of the season, right? That if they just had more pitching with the way that Arenado has come on, the way Goldschmidt has played,
They
like,
would have survived the
Yeah.
lulls more. You know, it wouldn't have been like we're 10 games, 15 games under. It would have
and
been like
this division is there for the taking, man. Like we were talking
they had
earlier
pitching,
about Clay was talking earlier about how he's afraid of the Cubs. Like the Cubs are only 3 games back and playing better baseball of late. They had a rough month there where Cody Bellinger was on the IL, but I mean, the Cubs are right in it. The Brewers are right in it. If they don't decide to sell again at the deadline when
Yeah,
they're
Clay, who do you want to trade for then?
That's a good question.
Who do I want the Reds to trade for?
Yeah.
Trevor
And then
Williams.
I want to hear Ben Bellatti's Red Sox deadline plan after that.
I want the Reds to go out there and get a Trevor Williams type who can just finish the season for you so that you don't have to DFA a guy every day and bring up some other new guy
Sounds
from
like a
AAA.
contender to me.
I don't think that they're going to make the big trade right now. I would rather do it in the offseason if you're going to do it. We've seen them do it before with Sonny Gray, an offseason move, an extension type thing. That's what I would look for. I think that right now at the deadline, the way that the trade market's looking, it's just not good. You would have to trade some prospect that I don't think that they're ready to trade.
You down for like Smith is saying, the Lorenzen reunion?
I'm good on that, and I think I don't want to get into it, but I think Michael Lorenzen has zero interest in going to Cincinnati. I think he's glad that he's not there.
Sources, Clay. Yeah, Lorenzen's pissed.
Here's my source. All he ever said for 5 years was, "I want to be a starter," and they said no.
Yeah, so then he went to Detroit.
That's
Well, we went to the Angels first, and
Yeah.
they let him be the starter.
Speaking of the Angels, Clay, what do you think about this comment right here?
that's
Joe Adell to Cincinnati is something that Reds Twitter's been talking about for a long time. They wanted Tyler. At one point, they wanted
How are you
Tyler
gonna get
Malley
Joe Adell?
straight up for Joe Adell. That was
Who?
a discussion.
Who?
Tyler Malley straight up for Joe Adell was last year's discussion.
I mean, that wouldn't have been the worst trade in the world. Given
I know, but
rounds.
look at how great the Tyler Malley trade has turned out.
So-
Joe Adell,
Do Reds fans still think that Joe Adell's attainable?
I don't know.
He's attainable for a lot of teams, but not the Reds.
Arm and I talked about a Joe Adell for Alex Lang deal for the Tigers, but I don't know if that's going to work out anymore because Wyatt Langford's about to be a Detroit Tiger, baby.
Yeah.
My boy.
Wyatt Langford has a lot of Henry Davis in him. I do see that with the stick. Nothing bad about
He came
Detroit.
into Florida. Funny you say that, Arm. I don't think a lot of people realize he came into Florida as a catcher, Wyatt Langford.
Did he? Yeah, he did.
He was
did.
recruited to Florida as a catcher.
You can see that in the base. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why. Like it makes sense that you say that now. Like with Henry Davis and with Wyatt Langford, they're so lower half driven that if their path is clean, they don't need to do much there. Like they just can fucking power it with their lower half, and that's what you see with Henry Davis, and that's what you see with Langford. Like those guys get plus power with low effort just by using the ground. So
I mean, Langford
I
hit
think
the
he's gonna be
two
just
longest
like Henry Davis
balls.
offensively. I think they're carbon copies.
I think he hit
Andrew
the two
Abbott
longest
right
balls
now
in-
is facing off against Gunnar Henderson. Andrew Abbott has struck him out twice already tonight.
I'll strike him out again. Just breaking ball. See ya.
So Gunnar Henderson against lefties, are they going to have to eventually platoon him, or can you even do that with him in his rookie year?
Is he even 22 yet?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't really do that with him right now.
I wouldn't do it through the regular season. I'd do it in the down the stretch and into the playoffs. You know,
if you do it, you just stunt his growth. I mean, that's what you see. You know, it's what we've been talking about for weeks about every time there's an episode on Just Baseball show with Walker Buehler, it's Jock Peterson never got to hit against lefties. And he'd be the best player on earth.
yeah, you got to give those guys a chance.
Jack and I had a conversation. Will a platoon player ever make the Hall of Fame? It was just like funny to think about. We were like walking through the best platoon
Jordan
players,
Luplo's on his way.
which made me think last week we need, the way that the game's going with so many platoon players, we need a platoon all-star game where it's just the best platoon players playing in an all-star game at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday of all-star week. All of the platoon players.
So is it all righty?
Lefty versus
All
righty.
righty lineup.
I
and then
just
all
gave
lefty
Jack and
lineup?
Arm a great topic for the Just Baseball show. Who would make the platoon all-star game?
2017 Albert Almora Jr. would have made the platoon all-star game. He would have probably been the leader.
2023. That name brings back some bad memories, man.
Smith spitting bars real quick, by the way. Belly back to the Dodgers thoughts. I'm in.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
Platoon all-star game, by the way.
Ricky Karcher needs to close out the platoon all-star game. Oh, gross.
It's just so funny that Ricky Karcher was like my troll guy in AAA, and he comes up like I've been messing with you and Clay about Ricky Karcher for years now, and he comes up to the big leagues and has the most like memeable debut humanly possible. Like I picked a winner there.
I think I texted you in 21 about Karcher and high A, and I was like, Ricky Karcher, I hate this guy.
You know who was the first? Yeah, no, but you were the second person to text me about Ricky Karcher.
Who texted him?
Dude, you'll never guess. Ricky Karcher is disgusting.
Colby Olson.
No. Matt Mervis texted me after I swear to God.
No,
and he's like, dude,
he's not disgusting.
he is, though. If he's around the zone, he is disgusting.
But he's not. He's not around the zone.
Mervis caught him on an outing where he was around the zone, and he specifically texted me and was like, Ricky Karcher was dirty tonight.
Damn.
And I looked him up. I watched the outing, and I was like, that was the grossest display of pitching I've ever seen. Like, he was lights out. And then from that point on, he walked everybody. Every human being who's ever lived has walked at the hands of Ricky Karcher. Since he got sent back to AAA, by the way, 3 walks, no strikeouts. No earned runs.
Ricky Karcher is going to be, if anyone out there is familiar with the Twitter account Obscure Former Reds, he is going to be the best obscure former Red.
How is he going to be obscure when he's your setup man for a decade?
Bro, he's him.
I told him that literally, like, that guy's nasty.
Man,
He's Joe Boyle.
All right.
He's Joe Boyle.
Here's one.
And
Trivia off the top. 4 first-round picks in 2021 have made their big league debut so far.
Jesus.
4 first-round picks in 21.
Henry Davis.
Davis.
Neto was 22, right?
Neto was 22. Guy that's pitching right now. This is why they popped it up.
Abbott. Detmers.
Detmers was 20.
Oh, he was 20. Hold on.
Yep. Bobby Miller was 20.
Gavin Williams.
Gavin Williams, first-round pick in 21.
McLean.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Well, Abbott.
He was second round. Or was
Abbott was second round.
Oh, you're saying first round.
Rory, are you playing along?
Oh,
He's
the
got
fucking a joke. Bachman.
Bachman.
Rory knows his shit.
Damn.
Wow.
Stumped on a Guardian and a Royal.
Damn.
Oh,
Aren't there
Mariner
others
and a
though, like
Red
from
Sox.
later rounds?
What?
There's more from later rounds.
Yeah, there have to be others.
Like Dodd,
I got one.
Bryce Miller,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Paxton's a
Mason
Red
Miller.
Sox this year.
Mason Miller.
Mason Miller. Who else?
While you all are
Silseth?
looking,
I think Silseth was a guy.
So
while you all are looking that up, I will give you all Joe Ryan's line tonight.
Mhm.
Jack mentioned it earlier. His ERA jumped a bunch. We were doing the live ERA watch. His line tonight: 3 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs, 5 Ks, 5 home runs. 3.44 ERA. Now came into the game sub 3.
Welcome to the high spin fastball lifestyle, man.
Still better than Manoa.
Oh wait.
Can we
Ben,
talk
Ben.
about that?
Red Sox
Silseth,
plan. Red Sox plan.
Red
first.
Sox plan.
Brian Wu and Bybee are the other two that we haven't talked 2021.
I honestly have no idea. I feel like I don't know what the exact move is going to be, but I feel like Heim Bloom is going to be targeting like James Karinchak for some stupid reason.
I think he'd fit in Boston really well.
He might. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, the only possible thing the only thing you can do is trade for long term. If you sell anybody like young pieces, you got to sell Paxton and Duvall and maybe Turner. But if you sell a Duran or like someone like that, you're done.
Rory, who's been in the chat, actually suggested the trade of Paxton to the Reds.
It's not terrible. For who? India?
Oh, he if Rory is still listening,
guy.
Rory, put your full trade proposal in the chat if you have it. But he messaged me about it. I thought that was a good fit.
Can I also say Kike Hernandez to Miami has totally changed in narrative? Like before it was Miami paying for Kike. Now it's like, hey, maybe you've got a spot for Kike.
It'll be the same thing as the Matt Barnes trade. Like we'll take your shitty washed up Richard Blyer and you can just have him for free.
Does Kike have a spot in Miami?
Garrett, I think
Dodgers reunion.
I'm
for
not
Kike.
kidding. I think the Marlins prefer Garrett Hampson to Kike Hernandez, and I don't really.
I don't. I don't.
I can see him going back to the Dodgers.
Daniel Vogelback just went deep, by the way. We should all take a moment to acknowledge that he
Vogelback
actually
went
swung the bat.
With Frank the Tank in attendance, by the way.
Jesus Sanchez is back to being bad again, and like that whole pretend time where we said he was good was fun, but like he's not good, and that's
Craig Mish made a great point about this. I was talking with my brother about it earlier. That
I saw his point. Also, the very simple point is his swing doesn't work, and
that's the obvious thing. But I think people are now exposing the fact that his swing doesn't work because they're attacking where it doesn't work, which is anything above the belt, because it's just so long. And so, yeah, when he was struggling, teams didn't really care to game plan for him. He started hitting well. Teams were like, oh, we should game plan for this guy. How do we beat him? Throw high fastballs. All he's been getting is high fastballs since, or inside.
And just time.
I mean, he swung through a fastball at the knees there, to be fair, but yeah,
he's you know, I had
got nothing.
What's his name taking a victory lap on me? Respectfully taking a victory lap.
Carver,
Ron Cox, the professor, the GOAT.
Oh, King Ron Cox.
I was like, tip of the cap, Ron Cox. You've never wavered, but you know, I don't know if he's actually good yet. Still,
I don't want you to.
I had another victory lap taken on me that I can't even talk about, but it was another one that was like, oh, you're gonna take that on me. But what was that?
I don't want you to fire me tomorrow if you see this. So I'm going to tell you in advance.
Oh my God, Smith, I love you, by the way, for that comment. Colby Olsen told me Sanchez was going to hit her. Yeah, thank you. Anyway, continue, Clay.
I wrote the Detroit Tigers trade deadline guide today. And just for shits and gigs, we had to do the Javi Baez trade, and I did trade him to the Marlins for, just hear me out, of course, extremely unlikely, 1%, this is just for fun, Jake Rogers, Javi Baez for Garcia, and the Tigers eat 50% of Javi's deal.
So what would be the financial discrepancy?
So you would have 2026, 2027 on the books for Javi at about 12 million, but you get off of Garcia's 12, which is more or less a wash. What do you I mean, is it
I
it's
think
still
the
hard to
idea
come up-
I think the idea is valid. I do. Like 100%. So valid that I asked this question to someone that could answer the question. And the answer that I received was there's no way the Marlins take on any more long-term financial commitments.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
I think you're on the right track. And I think a different organization that is not so financially, I would say almost like, but beyond that, like financially traumatized. Like,
Yeah. That's a
they
great
never give
way
out
to
they never give out multi-year
describe the Marlins.
deals. They never give out multi-year deals. And then they give one to Stanton. He wins the MVP and they still can't give him away. And then new ownership, new regime, all that good stuff. They give one to Avi Garcia. He's a nightmare. They give one to Gene Segura. He's unplayable until today. So I think there's this level of like, we can barely spend much money. And when we do, we haven't spent it right. And I think they want that freedom again to try to spend it all over again. So I think you're on the right track. I just don't think the Marlins would ever do that because of what I've been told. Otherwise, I would do that. I don't give a shit. Like, it's still better than Javi for the next 2 years.
I just don't know how you can trade Javi. Javi has not only an opt-out. Javi also has a 10-team no-trade clause in his deal, and so does Erod. So,
Javi would happily go to the Fish, in my opinion, though.
Yeah.
I think it's close to home.
Ryan
Puerto Rico is so
Finkelstein,
prominent there.
you will hate this. Ryan Finkelstein suggested Erod and Javi for Mark Vientos.
He texted me about that, bro.
I told him there's no way.
There's no way.
I think I laughed at the message.
I told him no shot, but I also told him that if you swapped Erod for like someone else, maybe it could happen. The one interesting thing is like, if I'm the Red Sox, I'd consider it, but they're broke boys.
That was the chatter before the season even started. As soon as the story went down, it was like, let's trade for Javi. But like,
Meyer will be up.
He doesn't play in Boston. He doesn't work.
Also, Roman Anthony is him, Ben. I hate to say it, Roman Anthony is him.
He is.
So right now we have the Reds up 2-1 in the 7th inning against Baltimore. Cubs down 2-0 in the 4th. Houston versus the Cardinals tied in the 5th at 2. The Mets up 7-0 on the shitty Brewers in the 7th inning. Miami 6 and Boston 1. Sorry, Ben. 7th inning there. Pirates 6, Padres 4. 6th inning. Man, the Padres. I don't see it with them. I just don't see it. They're going to fall on their face again. Braves up 6-2 as well in the 5th inning.
Did anyone see Xander Bogaerts' comments about losing?
Did you guys see the play the Braves just made? 4-6-3 put out.
Oh, that was gross.
Oh, man, they are having fun right now. Albies to Arcia, spin throw. Oh my God.
What did Xander Bogaerts say, Ben?
Also, is this an Arenado RBI double to tag 3 on Framber Valdez from the poverty St. Louis Cardinals?
Yeah. All he said was like, "Come on, it's the Nationals." Like that's all he said. But I saw it on Bleacher Report sent it out as like a whole big thing. But like,
Preller gonna trade Merrill, I promise. Preller would be so dumb to trade Merrill, but he could get pretty much like if Preller was willing to trade Jackson Merrill, he would basically have the best trade chip available on the market. Like there's no better trade chip than Jackson Merrill. There's no better prospect.
So he does it then because he's AJ Preller.
But that's the thing. Like I think Preller's realizing. Like for me, I was thinking the whole time Edgar Caro of the Angels would be the best trade chip because the Angels don't need him. But it looks like if Preller was willing to trade Merrill can get you a lot. But here's the last thing I'll leave you guys with before I jump and let you guys talk about these games.
who are the best trade pieces on the market other than Shane fucking Bieber, bro?
Yeah.
No one's a
There's
seller.
not a lot.
No one is a seller. Nobody.
Especially the
Julio.
starting
Are
pitching
the
market.
Guardians selling? It's a hard question to answer.
So a question I keep coming across is, with so few sellers, do those sellers even become bigger sellers? Do you consider trading a player who you may still like but you're iffy on, just because the market is going to be such a buyer's or a seller's market that I'm trading a player that I may still want, but I'm kind of teetering on him, like I'm trading him.
I think you're right. I think you're 100% right, Clay. And I've had that exact thought process. And then I think about the teams who are sellers. And then I realize they don't have those guys.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Tigers.
The name that came up for the Tigers today was Spencer Torkelson. Like, new GM, did not draft him, not
Right.
loyal to him at all.
His stock is in the basement.
It doesn't matter. Some team still believes in Spencer Torkelson enough to give up good prospects for him. And if I'm Scott Harris and I'm sitting here thinking, I don't really care, I didn't draft this guy, he hasn't looked great, like, I can move a player, I can find a first baseman, which he can't even play first. He's been miserable defensively.
Max Meyer for Spencer Torkelson. You're doing that?
But seriously, if you think about, like, if I'm Scott Harris, I'm thinking I can make Torque available. I'm not 100% sold on him. Some team is going to be willing to pay for him still.
All right, give me another.
Washington, would you trade?
Meneses?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If I'm
That's
them,
easy.
I might not even trade Meneses, by the way.
I would definitely trade him.
Oh, come on, you got it.
I
We
don't-
were talking
I don't-
about it. He's a
you can't-
space
you can't
filler.
repeat.
He's getting them good at bats, and yeah, it's working out for them. But where are they going in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years? Like,
Yeah,
if they
he's
can
not
get,
gonna, he's not going to be around when they're ready. He's what, 32, 33?
yeah, I think you can.
He's
A team that's desperate
31.
for a bat at the deadline will absolutely give you more than they need to for Joey Meneses with a weak market this year.
then
So-
that's the guy that should be traded. But the 7-14.
An interesting topic that we haven't talked about at all is the White Sox. Jack's going to disappear probably, but the White Sox, to me,
Hey, my internet's having some problems. I'll be back. Wait,
to me,
real
the White
quick,
Sox.
real quick before Aram hops off with the late night action. Isabel, my girlfriend, is at Wrigley right now,
Flex.
and I agree with
flex.
her. The best hot dog
Yes.
in baseball is
Yes.
at Wrigley Field.
Yes.
Why
Because
do
you
we
can
bring
get a
that
good
hot dog
Chicago
today?
dog there. Because you can get a good Chicago dog. at
I'm
Wrigley
talking
Field.
just like the overall. I'm talking the
Okay.
overall dog. Where's the best hot dog in baseball?
They're lips
They're
and
all
assholes,
Nathan's
man.
hot dogs.
No, they're not. Not Wrigley, man.
Fenway's Cam or something.
I feel like Aram's going to be the only person to agree with me on this. I think like regional food or like food, that's sucks. Like there's a reason why it's only regional. Oh, beignets, dude, they're so freaking good. Then why aren't they served everywhere like a hamburger? If they're that freaking good, there's
That's true.
demand.
That's a great
Skyline
point.
chili.
These
is-
crab cakes,
it's
you got to get
bullshit.
the crab cakes in Maryland, dude. Shut
Crab
the
cakes are
hell up.
gas. Crab cakes are
Skyline
gas.
chili. I don't want to hear you talk about
Skyline chili's mediocre at best.
Thank you.
Skyline chili is terrible.
Regional foods will always let you down, and you just need to admit it. Face the
Cuban sandwich.
facts.
Well, the problem is you have to get regional foods in that region. So, like, if you're getting a Cuban sandwich outside of Miami, it's probably going to be bad. But if you're
I don't
getting
know,
a
maybe
Cuban sandwich
Cuba
in
would be a good
Miami,
spot
it's
to get
probably
one.
going to be fire.
Can I just
I
say?
got chicken wings
Can
in
I just say the
Buffalo.
Italian beef is a Chicago delicacy that I wish was shared with the world, but it's not.
The world
Because
doesn't
you all
need it.
have that freaking casserole pizza instead.
Yeah,
Sandy
which is
got
ass.
through 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 5 Ks.
It's the Red Sox.
The Ks
Yeah, it's
still
between
aren't
5
high,
over
but
the
that
Red
is so much better from him. That is so much better. Still 8 base runners, but that's what you're looking for if you're the Marlins. He did have a lot of games where he went 7-8 innings and didn't always strike out a ton of batters last year, but still, that's a much better performance that you're looking for.
Quick thing about the White Sox that I wanted to say is, are they going to actually sell, or is it a situation where their GM is desperate for his job, and instead of saying, I'm going to throw my freaking career away, he's going to get reckless and try to buy something, and it will not work out, but that's the only way for him to keep his job.
No, I think they're going to be shockingly dormant.
Mhm.
The Angels are going to win the deadline.
They're
Arm
going
and
to
I
hold on
talked
to
about that.
Giolito so that they could just get
Yep.
the fucking
They,
qualifying.
they might extend. They might extend you.
They're gonna win 4-6 right before the deadline and say, hey, we're within shouting distance of the division. We're gonna go for it.
And it might work. It might work, Jack. That division is so terrible. I know you don't believe in them at all, but if they make the right moves at the deadline and they're 4 back with 2 months to play, it could totally work. Why not?
Jake
That division
Defense a
is
White Sox.
awful. That division is so bad.
Same
baseball right here?
lines.
Do you know what mud was rubbed on this baseball arm?
Delaware River, baby.
Are we doing ASMR? Are we back to it?
All right, boys. 2 a.m.
Aram, enjoy, brother.
Good night.
Sleep tight, man.
Peace.
Okay.
Same lines as real quick. Same lines as Giolito might not getting treated. The Guardians even trade Shane Bieber.
So I think they can now that they've seen what Gavin Williams and Bybee and Allen can do for that rotation. But like, that's a terrifying division because nobody's out of it except Kansas City. Kansas City is like a new level. They're shockingly terrible. Kansas
You know what
City.
the thing about Kansas City is that a lot of people like they have Bobby, and a lot of people were kind of like, oh, maybe they'll kind of be a little more, and they are so like the A's traded their entire team away. The Nationals traded their entire team away. Like the Royals are supposed to start being like they're supposed to start showing signs this year, and they are so unbelievably bad. Like just such a completely unwatchable product. But one thing I wanted to say about we were talking about Bieber. I think the question of the deadline, and I know we didn't want to do too much deadline talk, but it's that time of year where we're going to do it. Do the Brewers move Corbin Burns?
That's what I wanted to talk about too.
That is the number one question of the deadline is going to be, is the market so ripe for sellers that the Brewers could get a crazy, insane haul for Corbin Burns that forces them, that everybody, you, me, Clay,
I don't even think it's that, Ethan. I don't think it's that.
They had to take that trade.
Is
Do they
it just the
get
fact that it's the Brewers?
Do they get somebody else for him?
Look at their payroll over the years and look at the trends of how high it goes. They are at the maximum payroll that they ever reach. And in the past, when they've breached around this amount, they've always gone down every single time. What tells me that Corbin Burns is going to be their long term? He did not seem happy about it in spring training.
Yep.
He has been good, but the Brewers can't afford to have another contract go south. I'm not saying they can't ever sign anybody else.
Araya's another hit.
They are paying. Does anyone want to guess the last year that they have to pay Christian Yelich? Anybody? Quick guesses here.
Yeah,
2034. 31 or something.
2044, I believe it is.
It was deferred.
Oh, because
Deferred.
of like they do like the
Money.
Bobby Bonilla
Deferred
thing.
money.
This is not the type of team that can afford to have contracts that go south, and I just don't see them giving it to a pitcher. As much as I like Corbin Burns, but yeah, I think he very well could be traded. Matt Manning, 4th inning, no runs given up to the Texas Rangers. He is back.
Hey, what's your favorite Lansing bar?
I'm sorry?
What's your favorite East
Lansing
Lansing bar from Logan Smith?
Well, there's Rick's. If you've ever been to Rick's in East Lansing, that's kind of the shitty college bar. It's a good spot to go to. I'm seeing the question now. I did not realize. I thought one of you all just asked that just to know. I was like, what the hell? Logan, I'm not a drinker, so I don't know a ton of the bars. I know some restaurants.
Isn't there a burger spot you love?
Yeah, there is, and now I'm blanking on it. Logan may be able to help me out here. It's a neighborhood burger spot. And there's also the Peanut Barrel is what Jack's thinking of.
Yeah.
The Peanut Barrel, a local bar as well. But East Lansing, man, underrated place. If you leave campus, it sucks, but on campus, it's beautiful.
Can I just say that Smith in the chat brought up the Dodgers receiving Corbin Burns?
Harper's is elite. Yes.
I think that's the move that everybody's kind of looking at and saying that could be like
Conrad?
the Soto Scherzer move of this year, right? Like, can a team pull both of those guys away from the Brewers? I'm not sure that one team will do it because I'm not sure one team has the arsenal of prospects to do it. Willy Adames is such a great player. Like I don't think a lot of people realize how great of a player he is. But I think that's the two guys that everybody's going to be watching that will, I mean, obviously they traded Hader last year. What is going to stop them from trading Burns and Adames this year?
You know what this is? This is Scherzer Turner to maybe a slightly lesser
Sorry,
degree.
did I say Scherzer and Soto? I meant Scherzer and Turner. That's what I meant.
Scherzer,
Yeah,
Turner.
the double, getting the double.
Do we want to talk about some of the games going on right now? Get
Yes.
back into general discussion until the 9 o'clock, 9:38 games. Yeah. So right now, Gavin Williams is at 49 pitches in the fourth inning, has not allowed a run. This Royals offense, man. Oof. Cardinals up 4-2 on the Astros. Golly, man, the Astros. I do want to talk about the Astros a little bit.
They're interesting because they just haven't played the way we all thought they would, but they kind of
They've
do
been
that
injured,
every
I mean.
year, and then they get
They've been
hot
hurt.
in the second half, and
I think
there's
this year's
nothing
different.
scarier. There's nothing scarier than a quiet Astros team to me.
I do think this year's different
I
though.
think they're just gonna stay dormant this year. I think.
Yeah, lightning delay in Baltimore. Reds up 2-1 in the 8th inning. We know bad weather is coming to Baltimore. This could be a sneaky runaway with a dub game for the Reds.
I love it. Ezekiel Duran at bat, a player who was acquired for Joey Gallo. Duran is that guy who I think that the Rangers tried to find with Brad Miller at points last year, where it's a guy who can play a couple different positions and add some with the bat. Ezekiel Duran's just a much better version of that. He's played left, second, short, third. He can play all over the field. He's hitting over 300. He's bringing speed. He's bringing power. The Rangers, Jack, I think that the bottom part of that roster has just gotten much better. Leody Taveras is playing extremely well, reaching his potential.
Yeah.
And then you have a guy like Duran and a few other players. Smith has been able to fill a utility role at least. And I think that's what's taking them to that next level. Of course, Corey Seager's hitting the cover off the ball. Marcus Simeon's playing well overall.
Evaldi is pitching like an ace.
Yeah, I think he struggled last
And the
night,
biggest
but-
thing is that he's pitching like an ace when they haven't had Jacob deGrom, right? So I wasn't a believer at all in the Rangers this year. I know a lot of people were kind of saying, "Oh, they're, this is the team to watch. This is kind of the dark horse." I wasn't believing in that at all, but the fact that they've been able to get ace-like production without Jacob deGrom from Nathan Eovaldi is huge. I mean, it's like I said, we were talking about it earlier. They're one of 3 teams with a run differential over 100, and there's only 3 of them in the league. So it's, they have proved me wrong. And I think the biggest thing is the fact that they have Seager and Simeon going at the same time, right? They paid $500,000 for that, $500 million, for that duo. And they find, and this year they're going at the same time. And Corey Seager, is this the quietest 350 hitter ever in the last 10 years? Like
he was out for a month.
Yeah, fair. But
So-
I would turn on a Rangers game one day and I saw Corey Seager was hitting 357. And like, where the hell did that come from? Guys don't do that anymore. I think that's the thing that's so amazing about Arise is that you just don't see it anymore.
While Jack's snacking, I have a quick personal question for everybody here. Chat, I want you to also answer this. Finger in, finger out on a glove. Are you the finger out?
Always.
I'm a finger
Always
out
out.
guy. I'm
Out.
also not opposed to the 2 fingers
Two in the
here,
middle.
right? Leaving the larger webbing, right? No finger where the finger hole would be. I can also do this as well. I'm either way there.
Yeah, finger out.
Finger out. Easy.
My computer won't let me watch 2 games right now. I've got just the Giants up because that's the game I care about the most right now. But Kevin Gausman, while we were doing this, had 12 strikeouts, guys, in 6 innings.
Not bad.
Is there a guy in Major League Baseball that does that more often where just all of a sudden he goes for 10, 12, 13, 14 strikeouts? Like Jazz with a little flair gets down. He's got a multi-hit night. Arias has a multi-hit night again. He scores. Jazz goes to second.
So
Man.
Here's the thing
Jazz
about
bring the energy tonight. Go ahead, Jack.
Jazz bringing the energy tonight. Man, hold on. What did you just mention, Ethan? Sorry.
Sorry,
before
Kevin
tomorrow.
Gausman. Kevin Gausman.
Gausman. There's a reason that he is perennially a war leader. And I think that's the thing that gets lost with Gausman, because when you think best pitcher in baseball, I don't think very many people think Gausman. Gausman doesn't walk people. He will rack up strikeouts, and he keeps the ball in the ballpark. And that is the FIP element of Kevin Gausman. And I think that what Gausman can do for the Toronto Blue Jays is like absolutely freaking wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's one that the Giants missed on. Like, they've made some good moves recently, but when that offseason happened, I was like, they've got to bring this guy back, because they molded him, right? They took him, they figured out that splitter is what they got to do. They pulled the Giants thing that they've done with Alex Cobb and Disco and some of these guys, like, but superstar, but on a superstar level, instead of just a solid number 2, number 3 level, they did it on a superstar level. And I really thought they should have brought him back. And obviously they opted for Rodon, and then Rodon, went to New York. So I just think that was a
what
miss.
you just said is actually the reason why they don't bring him back, because they've shown the ability to ID these pitchers and to tweak whatever it is that they need to tweak, or put whatever they need to, so that they don't have to commit to 5-year deals at 25, 35 million a year.
Yep.
And they just keep showing that we can find these guys who are I wouldn't say undervalued, because most of them are like relatively big names, Alex Cobb and Alex Wood, like names, but then they raise their game. Yeah.
And they've got Kyle Harrison on the way, who's been really solid in AAA this year. It's one of those teams that they've kind of got those. I don't know, man. I don't know. I know that everybody kind of thinks I'm, being a little biased with the Giants, but I'm telling you, man, they play fun ball,
No,
and
they're
they've
a
got
good
guys
team.
coming and
I don't know
if it'll last.
JD Davis enough.
Oh, that's something we haven't talked about is JD Davis. The fact that they've turned him
revving
into
this guy's engine, man.
the fact that they've turned him into an actually like elite defender, like, has been great at third base this year, is crazy. I texted, he's been awesome, and they have an interesting deadline coming up too, because they've got some pieces that maybe you consider moving to buy a little bit for the future, but you can also, still keep a lot of the guys around. Like,
How about what Smith said here about Manoah? We haven't talked about that.
All right. So here's how we discuss it on tomorrow's Just Baseball show. Here's a sneak preview. Here's a preview. This is a very loaded topic with Alek Manoah, because there's clearly something going on, and it's not just physical. Now, that is the sensitive side of this. The human element of this is there's something going on with him. We need to respect him, and we need to not shit on him. Like, he's not the worst person ever. So we need to make sure that we don't treat him as, like if Marcelo Zuna was struggling, we dance on his grave.
Right.
Manoah is not Marcelo Zuna. The other side of it, and the one that I don't think should be lost entirely, is professional athletes are public figures. All-stars and guys that finish third in AL Cy Young voting are elevated public figures. Alek Manoah has pitched so well, and this is a dream of his, and unfortunately with the dreams comes cons. Alek Manoah has elevated himself to the point where people are going to make sweeping claims about him because of what he does on the pitcher's mound. And Alek Manoah has to be able to face some serious criticism for sucking on the pitcher's mound. These two things can coexist. Alek Manoah has sucked as a pitcher in 2023. Alek Manoah is not a bad guy, and I hope he figures it out.
Yeah,
I think
that's a very mature way to look at it, Jack. And I think that some of that maturity is lost in a lot of analysis of sports today. Basketball is really, the NBA is really, really bad about that. And I just think that, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Rory makes a great point here. Like, he's got something to figure out, and he's going to figure it out. And yeah, he might be working on something. That was one of the first things that came to my head was,
he might have just been throwing fastballs.
Right. He might be tweaking something. He might be doing something that, so you can't really be like, oh, this guy, there's something going on. I'm going to respect his privacy on that. Obviously, I think we all should. And you're right in the fact that when there's something going on that you can clearly tell, and that there's been reporting not about what it is, but about the fact that it's happening, that you have to just respect it and just say, give the guy time to work back. I think everybody that's kind of laughing today is just in amazement that a major league pitcher would go down to the complex league and get blown up. I don't think it's anybody that's excited about Alek Manoah getting blown up. Nobody wants to see him go down there, get blown up by a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds. And, everybody wants to see Alek Manoah go down there, get right, come back and pitch the way he did last year, I think. So, yeah, it's something that it's a new thing in today's age where we take mental health into account for these things. I think we've gotten a lot better at it. An example of it was the DeMar Hamlin thing. That was handled so much different. The Bengals, the way they lost the AFC Championship game where the guy pushed the guy out of bounds, we didn't really pounce on that guy. I think the way we handle things in 2023 is a lot different than the way we handled things in 2015 even, So I just think that, we got to give this guy time to get right, and I don't think that he just all of a sudden lost all of his talent.
No.
That's the thing with Sandy Alcantara. People just, shitting on Sandy Alcantara, or, when Jimmy Butler was clearly hurt in the finals, saying, he doesn't want it. That's not how it works in sports. It's just guys have things they deal with, and it affects everybody in different ways.
Yeah.
Nick Gonzalez, 442 feet for his first big league homer.
Woo! Jack, I'm going to ask a question to the group here. How many, now it's football, but it's baseball related. Bo Jackson. How many rushing yards do you think Bo Jackson had in his career?
Not a lot. I read the Bo Jackson
Not a
book.
lot.
It's not as many as you think it is.
Jim Harbaugh had more rushing yards than Bo Jackson. I saw that tweet today.
That's
He
great.
had 2,700 yards. That was it.
Yeah, you only played, 3 years in the NFL?
Now,
4
keep
years?
in mind, here's my Bo Jackson thing. Incredible athlete. Because he got injured, the legend grows. Because you have every 40 to 70-year-old person saying, oh, man, Bo Jackson would have, and it just gets more and more absurd to the point now that people think that Bo Jackson would be so much more talented than Shohei Ohtani in baseball and stuff. I don't know why. I just find Bo Jackson so intriguing.
Yeah.
Just because of how out of control the legend of Bo Jackson has become.
Because I think he was the first guy that people looked at and said, how is a human being that athletic?
Yeah. You guys if you guys are interested in Bo Jackson, you got to read the Bo Jackson book. It was great. And you kind of realize whoa, he won a Heisman at Auburn, but he never really reached what everybody thought he would be at Auburn, and he never really reached what everybody thought he would be with the Raiders, and he never really reached what everybody thought he would be with the Kansas City Royals. He's
just like Jack.
You know what he's like? It's he's like some of the Negro League players in terms of everybody tells these stories of the things that they did. He hit this home run that went over the trees at Auburn and was still rising as it cleared the trees.
Jack and I always say nobody lies more than an old baseball fan.
Yeah, that's
how many times
point.
do these old timers say, I saw Mickey Mantle hit a ball 614 feet, and Joey Beanstalk Jackson and Shoeless Joe Jackson, and they have the most ridiculous names and stories. But
reading Flex, shameless plug for Jeff Pearlman. He's a great writer, one of the great. I'm reading the Barry Bonds book right now. The Last Folk Hero, Bo Jackson. It was awesome. It was really great.
A little
Jeff
bit
Pearlman,
of background here. Ethan and I have connected over the past 2 years on
reading.
books, and
Yeah.
I read all of these books are all sports related. Most of them baseball or basketball, which Ethan
Here,
also.
all of these books on my bookshelf, and there's more than you can see in the shot.
If anybody is interested in a baseball book club,
Hit us up.
Ethan and I will run that, and we
Absolutely.
have plenty of suggestions here.
I have my fair share of baseball
Clay,
books.
This
as
is
well.
all you, man. If you're obsessed with the Legend of Bo Jackson, this is all you. This was a great book. Jeff Pearlman is a great writer. He wrote Showtime. I'm reading the Barry Bonds book that he wrote right now. What else did he do? The Dallas Cowboys of the '90s books, Three Ring Circus about Kobe and Shaq and Phil. You got to get it. Cool. I texted you right when I read this book, Clay, that you got to have it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna go edit the Just Baseball show and go to bed at a reasonable hour.
We are going to keep talking about baseball.
You guys are gonna keep going.
I'm
I'll
gonna
run it
go.
till, I'll run it till
do the-
9:45 or 10 o'clock. Yeah,
Ben, you're going as well.
I'm going so I can do the call before I do the Just Baseball. show.
Ethan and I, that we're sitting around.
Let's go to work, Ben. Appreciate you. Hey, real quick, Ben is. All these guys are like the unsung heroes of Just Baseball. Ben Bellotti deserves like his moment in the sun because this dude has so many late nights just punching out YouTube, and he's so fucking good at his job. And
I get a lot of late night texts from Ben, a lot of them on the in the social media chat. He's the man. He's the man.
We are so lucky to have Ben. We're so lucky to have Clay. We're so lucky to have Ethan. And this was. I mean, shit, I kind of thought this was a good time and we should do it again.
Can I just tell you, I've got some tips for the next time. We need a background. We got to cut.
I need one.
The blackout. No, not you. Yours is fine. We got to get the black out of here. We need can we get like Oracle Park or something in the background here? Maybe like the baseball like we did for the YouTube. And I'm down to run it back next Tuesday, man. If Tuesday wants to be our day, I know Elijah wants to hop on with us. I know Aram, when he's back in the States, will want to get back on. So, yeah, I'm down to keep running these. I loved it.
How about it? All right, I'm gonna hop off. You guys.
Yeah, Clay and I will hold it down for a little bit longer. Clay, I got like 15, 30 more minutes in me, man.
Oh, I'm going until the end of the A's game by myself.
Real quick, just so we're making sure we're all on the same page. Clay, do you see something in the top right saying end broadcast or no?
No.
Okay. Let's see.
Are you trying to make me the host?
I think so. I don't know how to. Let's see.
This is good content. Yeah, this is good audio and visual right here.
I have no idea how to do this. I might need to hop back on and exit you guys.
If we have to end it,
we have to call it right here. I'm good.
Always leave them wanting more.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, I guess we have to call it.
All right. Well, we made it till 9:30. That was a good run, boys.
That was good. That was 2 hours and 27 minutes.
No, we'll run it back. I'm so down to run it back next week. I got to get more baseball talk in my life with the boys. So
this was good, man.
Yeah,
this
man.
Was good. All right. Great. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah, always.